Hey, what's up, everybody? Let's see. Let's give everybody time to jump in. I see Stephanie. Stephanie's here. Mark, Matt, Esther, Eric, Edwin, Charlie, Adam. What's up, everybody? If you guys are with us, drop a comment in the chat. Let us know who you are, where you live, and what you do, like inside the real estate world. And I'm just going to get set up here. Let's see. So in the chat, if you're in there, you can chat to all panelists, which is us, or you can chat to all panelists and everyone. So if you want everyone to see what you're talking about, make sure that you're chatting to everybody. So Vanessa, hopefully, there we go. So all panelists and all attendees. Perfect. Mark, wholesaler from Dallas. What's up, Mark? I am just going to set this up. I'm going to give everybody a couple minutes. We're recording, so that's great. Vanessa, I'm just going to set up our live on Facebook, and then we'll get rolling. What's up, Mike?
Going on.
Mike Simmons is in the house. Andy McFarland. Oh, Mike's got a nice camera. Hey, Mike, take over the show while I get us live on Facebook.
All right.
Tell everybody what Flip Hacking Live is.
Flip Hacking Live is a culmination of some of the best real estate investors from around the country spilling the goods on everything they're doing in their business to be successful, what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong sometimes, even so you can avoid those pitfalls. But it's just tons of people talking about everything that's working for them in whatever aspect of the business that they're in. So flippers, wholesalers, everybody's there talking about what's working in their market. So you get just an in-depth look at what's happening, a look behind the curtains. We've gotten a look at behind the curtains at Andy's business in the past. I'll give you a look behind the curtains at my business, and we'll just share ideas and make sure that 3 days is worth 100 times the cost of the ticket.
Oh, those are some bold words. Andy, what do you think?
I think he's right. No, it's awesome. Flip Hacking Live is also always like a life-changing experience. And I've been there since the beginning, and it's always good. It always exceeds my expectations. And it's hard to do every year, but it did last year. And I think it's going to this year as well. So yeah, no hesitation in saying that.
What's up, Gregory? Mike rocks, Bill rocks, Andy rocks. Love it.
I got an Andy rocks
in that order. Not necessarily in that order.
Not necessarily. Believe me, not in that order. But yes, there's Andy rocks in there.
Gregory Majerus, you are my friend.
I'm going to take reverse order there. Andy, Bill, Mike.
There you go.
Yeah.
Probably fair.
Awesome. All right. Hey, well, I'm happy that you guys are all here. We got people jumping in. It's like popcorn, right? The popcorn starts popping and people are still jumping in. So I want to give them a couple minutes. I'm going to read some of these folks here. We got Mark's a wholesaler from Dallas. Paul's investor, flipper, wholesaler from Toronto. Adam, the most vibrant city California has to offer, 29 Palms. Oh man, I've been there. It's not pretty, but within striking distance of some pretty cool places. What's up, Adam? I know you, my friend.
We just lost
Gregory
one person.
is from Wichita. What's up, Gregory? Matt, buy and hold from Sterling, Virginia. Edwin from the Bronx, looking to do fix and flips in New Jersey. So, hey, we're wholesaling in New Jersey now, so you need to get on our list. Adam's a buy and hold investor. Eric Perro, what's up, buddy? Oklahoma City and Pensacola, Florida. 11 years of single family rentals portfolio in both cities, transitioning to larger multifamily. Charlie's 2 rentals in Charlotte, North Carolina. You're going to love hearing from Stephanie Betters tonight. Kenny says, hi, fellas. Ryan Smith. 29 stumps. That's right. 29 palms. Been there more than I care to admit. What's up, Brian? I can't wait to hear from you tonight. Daryl's an investor from Huntsville, Alabama, wholesaling, buy and holds. Oh man, it's blowing up. Jennifer from Springfield, Missouri. What's up? All right. Let's go, man. Let's just go. Should we just go? So I remember Flip Hacking Live, like every time that we have this event, we have done one of these like speaker hangouts that people can jump on, and it's always so much fun. So I've got like my co-hosts now, Mike and Andy, and I remember the first one that we did, the first Flip Hacking Live. If you guys remember, if we go all the way back to 2016, I just put my son James to bed right before I walked downstairs, and my wife was pregnant. We had just moved from Pensacola, Florida to Nashville, Tennessee, and James has a heart condition. So he was he's needed heart surgery after he was born. So we just picked up all of our stuff in 10 days. We bought a house and moved to Nashville. And we jumped on this call, this exact call. It was 4 years ago now? 4 years ago. This is the first Flip Hacking Live. So this is number 5. This is like It hasn't been 5 years. It's been 4 years, but the fifth one coming up. And I was in my aunt's room, in her office at her house. Our house, we had just moved here that night. We drove up here. My wife was crying because our house was a disaster. We bought it off the internet. We saw pictures on Zillow. It looked nice in the pictures, and we got there and she was crying. She was like 30 minutes ahead of me, and I was in the moving truck with the car towed behind. And I said, just go to my aunt's house. I got there. It just wasn't what we thought it was going to be. It needed a lot of work, clean up, some things that needed work, a lot of paint and a lot of cleaning. And I went to my aunt's house. I still remember exactly where I was sitting. And I said, honey, like, I need to be on this call. There's something about it. I need to be on this call. I had so much fun with you guys, attended that first Flip Hacking Live, and we raised $35,000, raised $17,000 for Children's Heart Foundation. And then Andy, you and Justin doubled it. And it was like 2 weeks before my son was supposed to be born. Like, we were 10 to 14 days away from her due date. She was basically like, don't go. And I was like, something is calling me. Like, I have to go. I have to go there. Like, there's something there. And I'm so thankful that I did. Obviously, last year was the first year after I bought the company that we put on this event. We kind of changed a few things, some of the branding and the structure. And like, it's a little bit different, but I have like fond memories of this night, just like hanging out with everybody. So we're going to have a lot of fun tonight, and hopefully you hang out with us the whole time. Hopefully you drop stuff in the chat and the comments. We'll talk about what the speakers are going to share, but it's been a fun journey the last like 4 years. And I think we're moving from we've been growing every year. We went from, 150 people maybe the first year. Like, we're just kind of like eyeballing that at this point. It felt huge at the time. And then we moved to like 250 people or so that second year. And then we went to like 350 the third year, or 400 or so. And then last year we were just over 600 people. And then this year, obviously making some changes, going virtual. I don't know where we'll be, probably somewhere around 1,000 plus people. Like, I really want to reach out and provide this opportunity to more people because we can do it virtually. And we'll talk about that, what it looks like tonight. So I don't know, there's my 2 cents. Andy, you've been here from the beginning. Why don't you kind of jump in with a little bit of your Flip Hacking Live stuff?
All right, so you're sharing your first Flip Hacking Live memory. You're sharing like the panelists and all stuff. Let me show you my first Flip Hacking Live memory, okay? So Justin, love Justin. I don't think he's on here, but Justin was famous for this. And you guys know this, when you guys came in later. He was famous for just doing stuff, and you would find out about it like on the call. You'd find out right then. So the first Flip Hacking Live for me, that was the memory for me. Like, he set all this stuff up. I didn't know who was going to come. I show up there, and he tells me like almost the night before, he's like, hey, I need you to speak for an hour and a half in this spot. And then did that the first day. Like, the slides for that, guys, I'm telling you this, like, true confessions, right? Because it gets better. I promise you it gets better. But the slides for that were made like that night beforehand. Got there, did the presentation for an hour or whatever it was, hour and a half. And then that next night, he's just like, we're in the hotel room. He's like, okay, I need you to speak in this spot tomorrow. And I was just like, okay, so make some slides up for that, right? So that was the beginning from my perspective, right? And now the evolution last year was absolutely incredible. So the speakers, like everything, they came so prepared. Like, I mean, I came more prepared than I was the first time too. But it's been awesome to watch the evolution of it. But even that first year was so impactful. You were saying that you almost didn't come. You felt this call to come. Like, I still remember like how emotional that was with you being on stage there, accepting that check for the Children's Heart Foundation with your son and all that stuff. Like, it was like super impactful. And every year's got a moment like that too, or multiple moments like that. So Flip Hacking Live is just awesome. It's just awesome. So.
All right. Hey, before we move to Mike, let's talk about like, what are you going to talk about on your presentation? And then we'll go to Mike and we'll hear from him, and then we'll hear about what he's going to talk about. So what's Andy McFarland, the man who spoke every single year and 3 times the first year, most impactful person in my life in that year, 2016. Amazing. What are you going to talk about?
Me, I'm first. You make me do this first. Okay.
Do you want to wait? Do you want to wait?
No, I'm fine. I can do it first. That's fine. I can come out of the gate. Typically it's Bill speak. That's always a joke. I'm not going to go there. Bill has to speak first, and then he comes behind him. No, and so I always feel this pressure every year to bring something that's like, which is good pressure, right? To bring you guys something that's just like new, that's really happening to me, that is impactful, right? So every year I felt that, and I've never given the same presentation twice. And I know people say like, just keep refining the same stories and keep saying the same things. Like, I have a hard time with that. Never in my life I gave the same presentation twice. So this presentation this year, or what I've been working on for this year, it really kind of came because I turned 40 a few months ago. And before I turned 40, I was on this road trip with my wife and kids. We were on this almost 4-week RV road trip. And I remember driving down the road, and all these thoughts and stuff started coming to me. I'm like, man, this is what I should talk about. This is what I should talk about. My journey, my 17-year journey, all the things that like I've learned, the things that were impactful, the things that weren't, the things that were like worked really well, stuff that didn't. And one part of that too, right? Because there's a lot of stuff in there that's like, you might think, oh, success principles, whatever, I've heard it before, but you haven't heard it necessarily from me. But there's one part of that there that every time I talk to successful investors, there's this one thing that I've done almost from the very beginning. And I'll talk to successful investors and I'll be like, yeah, and I do this thing. And they're like, what? What is that? And I'm like, yeah, I mean, I do this thing, right? You know what I'm talking about. And people are like, tell me about that. What do you do, right? So almost without fail, like every time I say that to even very successful investors, a month ago, I was at Lake Powell with a really good friend of mine, extremely successful investor. And I mentioned this to him and he was like, what? And what I mentioned to him is going to make him about an extra $50,000 passive in the next year and for years to come in his life. Like that one thing. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to talk a lot about my journey. I'm going to talk about like the things that were really impactful that would help you regardless of where on your journey. But I'm going to give you this one tactic that was like, I've done it almost since the beginning and it's just brilliant. Year in, year out, it makes me money. So there's a teaser for it. I can't say what it is right now. I can't say what it is, but I'll definitely share it with you. I'm excited about that.
I love it. It's going to be, I don't know, anytime Andy gets the mic, it's pure gold. So I'm excited about that. And I'll tell you, if you're just jumping on this call, I didn't really set us up. What we're going to do tonight is we're going to bring all the speakers on here. And not all of them, but we'll bring, I don't know. We probably have like 8 or so speakers, 8 of the 24 speakers that are going to come on, and they're going to share a little bit about what they're going to talk about. And my goal is to answer all of your questions, to tell you what Flip Hacking Live is, to pull back the curtain. If you're just not sure what it's going to be or who's going to be speaking or what we're going to be talking about, is it going to be impactful for you? Does it fit like new investors, more seasoned investors? Like, what are we talking about? What are we doing? My goal is to answer all of your questions tonight, because in 2 days, the price is going to go up. So we're doing this call right before a price increase. Over time, we increase the price every couple of weeks as we get closer to the event. Even though we're doing it virtually, we do have a capacity for our Zoom rooms and the structure of everything that we're doing and the event. So eventually we're going to fill up and sell out. So we just kind of increase the price over time to put some pressure on you guys, make you make decisions and decide whether you're going to come or not, pretty much. And so ultimately on this call, if you're on this call and you already have tickets, great. We'll share, we'll get you pumped up. We'll get you excited for the event. We'll talk about what we're doing. And if you don't have tickets yet, hopefully you're thinking about like, is this for me or is this not for me? And I want you to leave this call and say, yeah, I'm absolutely going to this, or this isn't really the right fit for me, or I don't really care about these people and what they're talking about, right? So that's my goal for this call. So Mike, with that, why don't you tell everybody?
How's that for honesty? You're putting the pressure on them. You're letting them know we're putting the pressure on you guys. We're squeezing out the excuses.
Frankly, we're going to raise the price on Thursday. And yeah. I'm not in this, like, we're not on this call to say, hey, let's do this call on Friday after we raise the price to push you in. Like, it's, hey, here's your fair warning. Like, I'm giving you 2 days to make a decision before you have to pay more money. And I don't want you to pay more money. Like, I want you to get the early bird discount. That's ultimately what I want. So hopefully you make a decision today and you jump in. And I've got a little treat for everybody on the call that I've got a gift for you if you buy today. So, all right, Mike, tell me, like, you've spoken at every Flip Hacking Live also, and you've been at every single one. I don't think you've actually even missed an event at all. Have you?
No.
Just not even ever missed a 7-figure flipping event like me. Like, we've been at every single event that we've ever done and put on.
Is there like a Cal Ripken Jr. award or something like that coming up? Or is that just
I'm not old enough for that, Andy.
Okay. All right. I'm just asking. Bill's got a lot of awards he's come up with the last year or so, and it's just phenomenal. Noticing people and their, attendance, I think would be a good one.
Yeah, I agree. I'm working on my own. I'm waiting for Mike to miss one so I can give out that award to myself.
that's
the honesty. This is so honest. It's honest.
It's trust me, he's laughing. That is totally serious. All right. So my remembering back to the first Flip Hacking Live, everything they said, it was amazing. We didn't know what to expect. And, the 150 people felt like 1,000 at the time. It was crazy. It was a scary thing, but it was awesome. What I remember about it was because I have been involved for so long, I just remember behind the scenes, how chaotic. I mean, on the stage, it was great. I think it was impactful. There were people who absolutely showed up to that event and went on to grow big businesses and join 7-figure flipping and all this. But it was behind the scenes was like nuts, like just trying to figure out what to do, how we were going to make it happen, figuring out what we were going to say as we got up on stage to introduce somebody. Like, it was mayhem, but it was fun. And what I really remember is, you mentioned it, Bill, the donation that we made to the Children's Heart Foundation, that set the stage for really a big part of Flip Hacking Live is the charity that we do, the giving, the sense of we're doing this for more than just trying to accumulate wealth for ourselves. It's about helping people start their businesses, but more than that, like helping people, period. Just like it's a helping environment. And I love that about it. And it makes me proud to be part of it because it is a major focus of what we do. There's a lot of time that's given to like talking about the cause and trying to bring awareness to things that people should really be aware of. So for me, that's kind of what I remember. We set the stage and the tone for the kind of event, the kind of people that we want to be part of this community. So that was huge for me. That's what I remember about it.
Awesome. Hey, so don't share what you're going to talk about yet. We'll
Okay.
come back to you. And I don't know if Terry's ready, but I'm going to introduce our first panelist. So let's bring him on here. I'm going to kind of like surprise him and promote him to panelist, and hopefully he's ready for that. So he may have like walked away from his computer, but
Exactly.
So Terry was somebody who joined Seven Figure Flipping kind of like after our first meeting, right? It was like our second meeting that Terry joined Seven Figure Flipping, and he's been around since then, like just everything that we do all together. And now he's recently come on to work more with me and the team in the company inside Seven Figure Flipping, and coming on to be the integrator for the company. So Terry, welcome.
Yeah, can you all hear me?
Man. Yeah, we can. So
awesome. What's happening?
I'm glad you were there and ready, because I was like, oh, I'm just going to promote Terry. So here we go. Let's see what happens.
Well, I changed a few Zoom settings and I was like, wait a minute, my video is not coming up. What's going on? So yeah.
All right, Terry. Hey,
Yeah.
I don't know. What has your experience been like at Flip Hacking Live, and what are you going to talk about this year? Like,
I mean,
why should people listen to you?
Yeah. Hacking Live is just, it's an awesome event. I mean, 500-600 people in a room talking real estate. It's always great. It's, I have made money every time I've attended the event. At least 5 figures. I get paid for it 10, 15, 30, 40, 50 times over, depending on how you implement. Now, what I'm talking about though, is I'm going to be talking about something that may not be super exciting, but I like it and I like talking about it. And we're going to talk about hiring. Hiring is, there's an order to it. There's a certain pace that you have to go. So wouldn't it be great to go to Flip Hacking Live, learn like who you need to hire in your business, when you need to hire them, and the tools to help you get the right person instead of hiring Aunt Betty every time and then trying to figure out how to fire her.
Okay, so you said it's not really that sexy. I will tell you, this is probably the thing that is the most important piece of your business, period. Like,
Yeah.
It's funny because I was talking to a friend yesterday, and she said to me, why do you think you're successful? Like, what do you think it is? And I said, honestly, I really think it's the people that are around me and supporting me. I don't think that it's me at all. I think that if you can figure out how to surround yourself with the right people, you can inspire and motivate them to go with you, to follow you in the direction and the vision that you're going, and get them to be excited about that and want to go, then I think that's the biggest thing that you can do. Like, I look at some folks that just can't inspire people. They can't cast the vision. They can't get them to, I remember I broke it down into like the first and second hire. I said, without the first people that I hired, I wouldn't have been successful. Like, it wasn't working for me. Like, I was going on these appointments. I was marketing. I was trying to do the sales process. I was trying to do all that stuff, and it wasn't happening. And when I hired the right salesperson and the right person to answer the phones, I was like, it took off. And Andy taught me that. He's like, you need to hire somebody. I was like, nope, never happened. No.
That was our first phone call, guys. I was like, you need to hire people. Here's what it is. Here's the structure. Here's what it is. Here's how I've got more freedom. I've made more money. And he's just like, I'm never going to do that. I'm like, okay, well, I don't know what else to tell you then.
Yeah, that is the what's next, right? And it's important when you build your business, you build on sound fundamentals, and you don't have to fear knowing that you have the right person, right? And like Bill said, it feels good. Like, I have a team of 9 people in my house buying business, and I love those guys. I like the fact that I get to support 8, 9 families. There's just something about it that, the fear is there. It's real on the first hire, second hire, whatever, or when the first hire goes bad, if you don't, if you don't kind of do it right. So, that's the part I love, is the fact that I build a business to help other people support their families. And there's just something really great about that.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, isn't it? In the beginning, I was so afraid to hire someone, and now it's what kind of like fills me up. It's what makes me so proud of my team and my staff, and making sure they're making more money than they ever thought they could. Val is, you guys saw Val on stage if you were at Flip Hacking Live last year, and her husband, Andre, does our videos. They're like, hopefully it's okay to talk about this, but they're buying a house. Like they're buying their first house here in the United States. They moved here from Moldova. And what did they do? When they were thinking about doing that, they came to me and asked me for help. And I put them in touch with a lender. This lender said, you have to wait another year. So I said, I got another friend who's a lender. Let me put you in touch with him. And he said, yeah, we can do bank statement loans. Let me figure out who to do it, who can do it, and put it together. And sure enough, boom, they got underwritten to get a mortgage. And then one of our other teammates here in Nashville was the realtor and said, I called him up. I said, hey, can you help them find a house? Can you kick back some of the commission to help our teammates? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. I'll do it for sure. And we're all kind of working together to help them buy their first house. Like, how cool is that to see that? And then last year to see my team up on stage, Nate and Chad and Ashley and Heather and Val, and to see them present at Flip Hacking Live was like, I don't know. I was just a proud papa, right? It was so cool.
It is cool. And I think the thing that's cool is like, once you assemble your team and you have the right people in the right seats, right? Then you start studying other high performing teams and you're like, okay, how can we get better? Right? Because you look at I love sports teams analogies. So I look at like a defensive lineman, right? That guy's never going to play wide receiver, ever. Never going to play wide receiver. But he has yet a specific role on his team, right? That helps his team dominate and win. Same thing with the quarterback, same thing with every position. And you just start translating all that, those high performing teams, whether you like sports analogies or whatever kind of teams that you like, and you put those in your business, and all of a sudden you're moving people around. You're like, okay, this defensive lineman right here, they can't hack it at sales. Maybe they need to be over here at project management. You know, they're the right person. They just got to be sitting in the right seat.
Yep. I love it. Hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to keep Terry on and for a little bit. If you guys have questions about hiring for Terry or any questions for Mike and Andy, you drop them in the chat, and I'm going to bring on the next speaker, and we'll keep Terry on here for a little bit, but then I'm going to kick him back to his family. I'm going to let him go, and we'll move on. But right now, Eric said, yes, please talk about hiring. I'm on the edge and really need to leap into hiring my first employee or contractor. This will be huge value. And then he said, Bill, can you connect us? My fiance is from Moldova and is an investor as well right here in Pensacola. So Pensacola has like a huge Moldovan population. It's crazy. I went, when I was down there with Val and Andre, I went to dinner at a sushi restaurant, and they're like, we're going to see some Moldovans here. I'm going to tell you right now. And sure enough, like they were talking about this huge population. Then like this family walks in and they start speaking to each other. And I was like, you gotta be kidding me. Are you joking? They're like, oh yeah, we know them and these other people. And I was like, I didn't even know this was happening. So yes, Eric, I will connect you. Absolutely. I know you, Eric. And I saw you post about hiring your first person, and you were like scared to hire that first person. That's a big hurdle that you have to jump over. And this is Eric, who said 11 years in single family rentals portfolio in both cities, Pensacola and Oklahoma City, right? 11 years investing in real estate, and just, trying to get over that hurdle of hiring that first person. It is a challenge, and sometimes it is hard, but I'll tell you, like, I don't know, when I did that, it was like, there's no going back now. It's amazing. So I don't know. Drop your questions in here. I'm going to promote the next person to the panel. Here we go. And let's.
You're not going to tell them who they are. You're just going to surprise them.
No, I want to surprise everybody. I want to surprise you guys
treat
too.
For everybody that's watching, right? You don't even say their name, so they better be paying attention. I love it.
Yeah, let's see. Hey, it's Stephanie Betters. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
He was paying attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mrs. Stephanie Betters, how are you?
Hi. Hey, everyone. Thanks for having me.
I didn't do this with Terry, but why don't you just tell everybody really quick, like who you are and what you do?
Okay. I'm Stephanie Betters. I am in Charlotte, North Carolina. We are primary wholesalers and new build operation here. We've been doing this really organized since 2015. And we'll hit 200 deals this year.
Oh man, you're going to crush me. This is sad. I'm
going to crush Bill Allen. I'm coming for you, Bill.
Wow.
If you do 200, you got me.
We're close.
We're going to be in like the 160s, I think. So
nice.
Okay. Hey, before you jump in and tell us what you're talking about, Clarence Diggs asked, is this for a newbie? I'm just starting out and looking also. Do you feel like this event is for somebody that's new? Anybody on the panel?
Yes.
Why?
Okay, Clarence, this actually kind of goes into what I'm going to talk about a little bit, but this event, what it really does, and especially for the new investor, is it opens up your mind to what's possible. And coming at this from the female perspective, this originally was my husband's idea, right? He's like, we're going to do this. And I was really scared. And I'm like, I don't want to go. I just want to have babies and, you know, whatever. I was totally scared of starting a business and risking everything. And coming to this event literally changed my mind, my whole mindset completely. I was like, whoa, wait a minute. This is like actually doable. There's a roadmap. We don't have to just completely figure it out. So for a newbie, there's so much to garner from the meeting. And then even all the way to the seasoned investor, like Andy was talking about, like Terry and Mike were all saying, you get like these nuggets, you make 50 grand extra, and that changes your business no matter who you are, you know?
Yeah. And, you know, I feel like that seasoned investor needs that 5 or 10% tweak. There's just like one thing, like, honestly, if you could just take one little nugget from one 30-minute presentation and implement it, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars. And that's what I started doing. The reason I stayed in the mastermind group, I kept renewing, I kept coming to the event, was because I was just making small tweaks, 5-10%. I would take one thing and go implement it. And then as a new person, there's a lot of the mindset stuff that you need. Like the real hurdles are just understanding that other people that are out there, like you meet us, you know, you see us on stage, we're right there, we're networking with you, we're in the breakout sessions for this event that we're doing virtually. And you realize that, okay, like this guy's kind of like half idiot and half knows what he's doing. So I can do it too. Like, it's just, you don't have to be a total genius. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to do this business. You can be a normal person, and you can also actually do it with integrity and do it the right way. And there's a lot of people doing it the wrong way. And so, like, I think the big thing is you find your people, your tribe. And if that's us, that's why we're doing this call. So if you're on this call and you're like, man, yeah, I want to be around these folks for a couple of days. I want to find out more about them. I like them. I trust them. And I'm interested in what they have to say. Then that's it. So Andy, he also asked, Clarence also asked, do I need to open my LLC before starting out? What is your answer for that?
Absolutely not. Please don't. Please do not do that first. Now just go out there and do business, right? Go out there and just start. I mean, this thing is all just connecting and buyers and sellers and stuff, right? I don't know if you're trying to wholesale or what, like, I guess to jump to the conclusion there, but like, just go out there and find a deal. Go out there and start learning, you know? A lot of times that is just, and this has been talked about ad nauseum, right? But using those type of things is just an excuse to try to like not have to do those hard things or those things that you think are hard that you don't want to do, right? So we all do that, right? We all have our stuff that we'll do before the really important stuff, but just go out there and start making stuff happen, right? You don't need an LLC first. You don't need an LLC first.
Yeah. So I flipped my first 2 houses in my personal name. All my rentals were in my personal name, like 5 rentals for the first. So I'm not giving you that advice to go like flip houses in your own name as a lawyer, but I didn't have anything that anybody could take. I didn't have any money.
Didn't matter.
So it's like, come and get it. So I don't know. Like, obviously we each have our own feelings on that. Obviously there's a law side, there's a tax side. There's a lot of things that come into play with some of that stuff, but don't overthink it. Like don't go get a deal and then worry about protecting yourself. Like, I don't know.
Go talk to a seller, call a for sale by owner, call it for rent, and just start talking to people, right? That's where the experience goes. That's where you start growing. And LLC gives you no edge in business. Just start doing it. Just start. What do you think, Mike?
I totally agree. I like that. I totally agree. Yeah. I mean, listen, guys, you're trying to form an LLC for your business, but you're not a business until you get out there and start doing something. So like get that car rolling, like start moving, get a little bit of momentum before you start worrying about LLCs. I totally agree. I don't think I've ever met a person who's successful in this business that recommends you get your LLC and your business cards day one. Like there's nobody who recommends that. So again, we're not lawyers, but come on. Don't avoid the hard stuff. Like Andy said, go out and call some sellers and start that car moving forward before you worry about that.
Yep, for sure. Okay, Clarence. So your next step is go to fliphackinglive.com and get your ticket right now. Don't wait until the price goes up in 2 days. So I'm going to throw that in there. Anybody on the call wants to get their ticket, go to fliphackinglive.com. And if you buy your ticket from now until I tell you what I'm going to do for you guys, I've got a couple bonuses. Then we'll honor the bonus whether you put in the code or not. So we're going to use the promo code Friday. So if you want to go, you can add a promo code, use Friday. I'll show you guys how to use that. But we got a couple bonuses for you guys for tonight for being on the call. And if you get it in the next 2 days. So Stephanie, what are you going to talk about at the event?
All right, I'm super excited to present about this, but I'm going to be talking about the entrepreneurial arc that everybody goes through, or at least that we went through in starting our company, growing the company, and getting it to a place of being passive. At this point, where I'm at in our business is I spend a couple hours a week on it, and I have multiple businesses now. So I went from first of all, went from $200,000 in debt from college and grad school loans to, now running a multi-million-dollar business. And I think the reason why we were able to get here is steadily overcoming a series of mindset problems, fears, and implementing systems at key points along our journey. And I really want to start with the one that was really the most impactful for me. So if you guys are, if your guys are on this call, like, I want you to bring your wives to this, because I think getting on the same page with your spouse is going to be super, super important from the beginning. So please bring them. You both need to do this together. And for you women out there, I want to tell you that you can do it 100% by yourself. You don't need a man to do nothing. Anyway.
Did you just say, guys doing this, bring your wife, but if you're a girl, don't bring your husband?
You don't need
you're
him.
fine.
No,
You're good.
I'm just kidding.
No, I like it. I like it.
No, if you're doing it by yourself. But no, bring your spouse. I want to talk about one of the biggest thing that I really had to overcome that literally changed the course of my life was overcoming the initial fear, and what some steps we did to put in place to get over the initial fear to jump. That fear was really, really big for me. And honestly, fear has come up multiple times in our journey along this arc at different levels. So fear is a really big one. And I just want to talk about the journey that we went on and how we did it really, and how we're going to continue to do it, how we're in a place where we're making multiple businesses now, and really what happens to your mind when you open it up and when you surround yourself with the proper people and believe in this process, believe in the system, and trust the things that you're putting into place, how to hire the right people, how to implement the right systems, how to lean on each other, your tribe, your group, your spouse, whoever along the way to get to the next level. It isn't as scary as you think. And there is an arc that everybody goes through. It's not like a steady incline, right? We're like, oh, we just make more money every day, every week. Oh, no, it's like a roller coaster. And I think everybody goes through it and has really key commonalities to the journey that we all need to be real and talk about. And if we can articulate these things and we can relate to each other on this journey along the way, I think it's so much easier to cope with the whole process, because it's difficult. I think the hardest thing about this is the mind, and when to do the right things. So I'm going to talk about that. I don't want to give the whole thing away, but I want to talk about the journey a little bit and how to build it the correct way and how to not lose your mind and lose yourself in the process.
Well, I think we've all gone through some sort of journey, right? So, and some different than others. And I know that you guys have gone through a very interesting journey with, bringing a business partner, doing all that stuff. You have a spouse that is also involved in the business. You guys are also busy in the medical field too, doing that, and then pulling with 3 little kids. Also, it's just crazy, right? For all of us. So Igor said, I'm sitting here with my wife who's freaked out about taking the next step. The power of her no paralyzes all my endeavors. I feel she appreciates Stephanie Better's comment because we're in the season of life with 3 kids under 5 years old. And listen to this. This is nuts. We are also from Moldova, by the way. She lost a bet, so she will be sitting with me through Flip Hacking Live in October.
Amazing.
So Igor, awesome. First of all, I don't know if that's the biggest coincidence I've ever heard. Second of all, 3 kids under 5. So I have, he just turned 6. I have a 3.5-year-old and I have a 2.5-year-old. Obviously I talked about James in the beginning, my middle son with some special needs, heart surgeries and stuff. It's a challenge for sure. And especially when your spouse, like my spouse, is not involved in the business at all. She has no interest in being involved in my business. And it is challenging. So, there's a lot that comes with that. So Stephanie, what would you say to somebody who's going through that with the spouse that's like, just like, no, and the husband that, or vice versa, that really wants to go? Like you have this huge visionary like myself that wants to go, and you have the spouse that's like, I'm not doing it. So
I think that there's 3 different types of spouses, or 3 different, so I'll just say like 3 different types of wives, because I fall into the wife category. There's the CEO wife, right? There's the wife that's the visionary. There's a wife that wants to start. Then there's the partner wife who, like, they have to be on the same page or else it doesn't really move forward, right? Like they are going to play a role in the business and they are partners in the business. And then there's the supportive wife, the one who is going to be doing everything else while somebody else is building the business. And I think that your role as your spouse can vary along the journey. And I don't think you necessarily start in the same place that you end up, or I think you may surprise yourself along the way. I started off as the supportive wife and was like, okay, he wants to do this, I don't know, I'm scared, how am I gonna do with the kids? We have 3 kids now, they're 10, 8, and 5. Like, so when we started, we had babies, right? So there was a lot of like, somebody has to take care of the kids, somebody has to do the rest of the stuff while you build something, and somebody also has to like have some sort of W-2 income while you just go and risk everything, right? So I started out as that supportive wife, and I think that that role is extremely important to have. First of all, to be appreciated by the visionary, the one that's going out there risking everything. And that person also needs to know how to support the person out there risking everything, right? There's a different level of understanding there. And then for the partner spouse, like, you are both all in. Like, that's also a scary place to be, right? Because like, everybody's risking it. You are not necessarily thinking to connect as spouses. Like, oh, that's my husband and my wife over there. We're treating each other almost like employees, right? Like, what's your role? You got to be really careful in that situation. But it can also be super powerful because you've got 2 engines, right? And then there's a CEO wife or the CEO role, and that person, is really stepping outside their comfort zone and can be really unstable. Like, I'm gonna be just totally honest, that mindset, if you are always, going to the moon, like, that rocket ship is like, it's like putting the pedal to the metal. It's a little bit unstable. So you've got to like be really self-aware of your mental state, really, at the point that you're interacting with your family, because it's hard to go from that to like sitting at the dinner table, right, and like trying to be normal and have a normal conversation. And it's difficult for that person to deal with it. So I think that acknowledging that is important. And then the supportive role has to understand, like, there's a transition point when, like, now you're coming home, and even if you're working in your office, like, there has to be transition modes to getting back into like your family role or your spouse role. So I think that no matter where you are in your journey with your spouse or with your partner, like, you've got to kind of be self-aware of that position, and then be really cautious of each other and how you're interacting with each other, in all the different journey. And it's okay to change. Like I said, I started off as a supportive wife, and now I own several companies, that my husband is like not really a part of, so you can grow and adapt. And I think that's part of your arc too. So that self-awareness and relationship awareness, I think, is important. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, I think you did. So there's a bunch of people talking about their wives and their spouses and stuff now in the chat.
Bring them. Well,
here's what I want to talk about the spouse. And since for those of you who don't know on this call, if you go to flippackinglive.com, it lays out all the things about what this event is, what it isn't, that kind of stuff. This is a virtual event. Obviously, COVID-19 pushed us into this virtual world. We have set up, and Stephanie lives in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm actually flying out to Charlotte. So is Andy and Mike. They're going to be out there with me. And we're going to present from stage at Flip Hacking Live on a stage. We're building out a stage. We're building out a studio. We got a bunch of cameras. I can actually have a TV set up so we can see every single person, their face. We can see you all in the stands. There's keynote speakers that, I don't know, I might leak one on this call, but we have 3 keynote speakers that I hired. I'm flying them physically out there because I want the power of the keynote speaker. So I'm actually paying like 10 times what they're doing virtual keynotes for at their house to get them to fly out there, to put them in the hotel, just like we would normally, to present an actual event where it's not like this. You're not on a Zoom call, an extended webinar, all that stuff that we're doing right now. Like, you're zoomed out. I get it. Like, I realize that I'm saying that on a webinar, on a Zoom call, in a Facebook Live, but you don't want to sit through 3 days of that. We are going to make it interactive, fun, exciting. So with that comes the question of, okay, me and my husband and myself, or my wife and myself, we're in the house. Do we look at one computer and get 1 ticket, or do we get 2 tickets? So I want to answer that question because a lot of you have it, or you might have bought one because you're trying to save the $300 right now to not buy a second ticket. So let me explain. That is perfectly okay if you want to do that. Here's the benefit of getting individual tickets for each of you. You go through this event with your own experience. So this is a virtual experience. Like these 3 days, you're actually going to experience a 3-day journey that we're going to take you on, like a novel or a movie, or we're going to take you through a process. Like I've said, I spent 7 months preparing for this event. I'm on a call every single week with the event planners trying to figure out what speaker to put where, what to set up, what breakout sessions are we going to do, what workbook are we going to do. We're going to send you individual boxes of things. Just like when you get to the hotel, you check in, you come up, you check into the event, you get this bag of goodies, this notebook, this program, all this stuff that you get, right? You're going to get that same thing. It's going to show up at your door a couple days before the event, so you get excited. And then you're going to check in with somebody one-on-one like this. You'll be on a quick Zoom the day before, get an audio check, make sure you know how to turn on your microphone, raise your hand, use the dashboard, all the cool stuff that we're doing. We're building out a full-on dashboard for you guys to use. We're creating a game out of this stuff. We're going to have points and scoring and competitions, and you're going to win prizes. We're going to do all kinds of stuff that you couldn't do in a live event in this virtual experience. And so the question that I'll ask you, if it's you and your spouse, is do you want to go through one experience together, or do you want to go through an individual experience where you each go into breakout sessions? You each play your own game. You each have your own journey over those 3 days. I personally feel like each of you need to experience this alone, like yourself. And I don't mean like you can't sit next to each other. You have to be in different rooms and you only see each other in the evenings. But it's a totally immersive experience. And the last thing that I would want is you guys like sharing the computer and like, wait, I only get a minute. Like I want to talk. You shut up. I need to talk more. And you're not going through in different breakout sessions with that experience by yourselves. So you can decide, like, it's perfectly okay with us if you want to share it, but you're going to get one box. You're going to get one set of goodies. You're going to get one piece of swag for the family. Like you got to decide, is it your husband's t-shirt size or hat or whatever we're going to send to you, or your wife's? So you guys decide what that is. But like, honestly, my recommendation for all of you is to go through your own experience so that your spouse can experience this, like their thing, like what they get from it, their breakout sessions, their sharing, their feelings. Hey, without you having to put in your, I don't know, put your cherry on top all the time. Like you decide how it's going to go. So either one is perfectly okay. Like I said, if you want to get one ticket and access for 2 people, but that's the answer to that question. If you want to experience yourself, then go through separately. Okay, Stephanie, any last things? Okay, I'm going to kick you off and go back with your family.
I'm excited.
Okay, thank you, Stephanie. I'm
Thanks,
pumped. This is
Stephanie.
really exciting. I can't wait to hear you speak at the event. And you're in Charlotte, so I'm definitely going to see you. So
That's right.
all right, and I don't know. We'll talk, but I think you need to come to the studio, so we'll see if that works for your schedule. So
Okay.
all right. I actually don't know how to kick you off. Maybe you just kick your. Oh, there we go. She's gone.
That's so real.
Nobody pay attention to the person behind the curtain here. All right, let's see if Ariane Lemire is ready. I inadvertently just introduced her without her and anybody knowing who she is. So Terry's still on. Terry, like, I think working with a spouse is way more popular than hiring. So you decide, man, if you want to hang out with us, it's up to you. You're more than welcome to stay, but if you want to hang with the fam, you can jump off too. You tell me.
All right, I'll hang for a few more minutes.
All right. You,
Yeah.
if anybody's got hiring questions for Terry, Ariane's at Disney World with the Tree of Life. Hey, so Ariane Lemire, a lot of you guys know who she is. She wrote an incredible like blog post on Bigger Pockets about this event. She's been interviewed on the Bigger Pockets podcast. She's been part of our world since the beginning. She attended the first Flip Hacking Live too. So Ariane, down in the Panhandle, Fort Walton Beach, kind of right by Pensacola where we are. I'm excited to hear you speak at the event. So welcome to the Speaker Hangout.
Awesome. Thank you for having me, guys. Sorry, I had like a little hang up with the tech there. But so I'm super excited. It was awesome to hear what Stephanie was going to talk about. And for all you guys who haven't been to Flip Hacking Live, guys, it literally changed my life 5 years ago. Was it 5 years? 2016, 4 years ago, however long it was. It was awesome. And every year it gets better and better and better. Like really, when we went, it was like beta. And we went from, buying one house that year to this year we'll do like 100 houses. So if you are curious if it works, it works.
Okay, so take a second. Tell everybody like who you are, kind of what you do, a little bit of the backstory real quick. Just a couple minutes if they don't know who you are.
Yeah, so I'm originally from the Philippines. My husband's from Florida, so I'm in Florida right now. We have a business in the Florida Panhandle. We started in 2015, kind of trying to figure out how we're gonna get um, financial freedom and visit our family overseas. And at that time, we had like $50,000 in student loan debt, and we just didn't really know what to do, how to start. And through a series of events, we met Bill, we met all the people here in this panel, and this year we're on track to do a little over 100 deals. We have a team of around 10 people doing all of that, and we also have about 1,000 rental units on the multifamily side. And it's been a crazy roller coaster journey of growth the last 5 or so years, but I wouldn't change a thing.
I went back and I was a lot of you guys know that I'm currently like in the process of writing a book right now, and I wanted to go back and hear your story, Ariane, and get it right. I was like, I'm going to put this in the book. I got to make sure that it's right, because there's been a lot of talk of like how much money you wanted to make when you were in the Philippines and all that stuff, and it's been kind of like passed down. All this stuff gets exaggerated, right? And so I went back and I listened to your guys' presentation from 2 years ago, and I was like, okay, they definitely talked about their story in there, and it was amazing to see where you guys were then, just 2 years ago, giving that presentation about your personality profiles. And it was so funny because Chris showed your personality profiles being the exact opposite of pretty much, actually, he used every single person on this call's personality profile and said, we're the exact opposite of that. So we're the detail-oriented people that don't really want to talk to anybody, and also take our time, and we want to kind of be perfect. And so it was really cool to see that and see where you guys are now, just like a short 2 years later. It's really amazing to see that journey, and going back in time and watching that was, it was really fun. And it was incredibly informative. Like the stuff that you guys were teaching in that presentation was a total mindset shift for most people. And you guys were giving like tangible, actionable steps. So what I love about Flip Hacking Live is that it's pretty much like at the end of this presentation, you should be able to implement this exact system in your business. It's not like here's half of it and you need to come back for the other half or pay more for the other half. Like Terry's hiring system, my expectation is that when Terry's done talking and you look at your notebook, you can go out and do exactly what you need to do with no other things necessary to go hire that rock star person. So what are you guys going to be talking about at the event? Like, what are you going to be speaking on?
So we are going to talk about how to financially prepare to weather a crash and prepare for opportunity. I know this is like a super hot topic. Everybody's thinking, oh, should I wait, right? Well, I won't spoil too much of the presentation, but if you're going to wait, some people have been waiting since 2014 to get started in real estate. So they missed out on the last 6 years, right? Some of us have started multi-million-dollar businesses and bought hundreds of rental properties since 2014. So that might be your story too, if that's kind of like the guru you're following, right? Like wait for the crash. So we're going to talk about, well, there's still fear, right? There's still fear of what if, like what's going to happen? What if we're not prepared? What if I mess up and I do all that? And we're pretty much going to talk about how you can lay a good financial foundation for your family and your business so that no matter what happens, crash or no crash, you have a good safety net, and that you're prepared to capture opportunities when they come. Whether it's going to be, to be honest, I missed the last one. It'd be nice if it happens again, but I'm not holding out for that.
So the challenge that I gave these speakers, and Mike's going to bring up his topic in a little bit, but was I want you guys to speak on, like, instead of in the past, what we've done at Flip Hacking Live is we've kind of talked about what we did over the last year, like what we've executed on and how we've done and how that's changed our business and performed for us. So at that point, we have probably been doing this thing for 6 months or a year, right? And what we haven't ever really done is kind of project into the future. Now, some of the presentations that we do are evergreen, right? It's like hiring is important, and culture and mindset and core values and those kind of things. But the tactics change over time. So we're going to have today's tactics, but what we're also going to do, and you're going to hear from a couple other panelists in a second, is we're also trying to project what tactics you need to start building the foundation on in October to prepare for what could be coming. And the challenge that I gave Ariane was financially, how are you setting up your professional life and your personal life to be able to capitalize on that opportunity whenever it comes? Like, I went back and I listened to Andy's presentation from 2 years ago about seller financing. And that presentation said, hey guys, I'm going to tell you about these tools that you need right now for seller financing. And if you haven't heard it, you can go to the 7-Figure Flipping podcast and you can listen to his presentation. Don't do it right now. Do it at the end of this. But I put his presentation up on the podcast. And in the middle of there, he says, where are we at right now? He said, we're in a seller's market, right? Everybody agreed. Yes, we're in a seller's market. Absolutely. No doubt about it. And we still are right now. Like, arguably, we're absolutely still there, right? It's still really hot. And he said, it's not if we go to a buyer's market, but when we go to a buyer's market. He said, these tools that I'm teaching you right now, they work really great right now in the seller's market, but they work even better in a buyer's market. And we are moving to that place right now, right? We're starting to see that it's coming. It's getting closer. It's getting closer. And we don't know exactly when it's going to happen. But what we want to do is in October is we want to prepare you for that opportunity that comes. And you can never be too prepared. Like, I'm a Boy Scout. I got my kids in Cub Scouts right now, right? Be prepared is the motto, right? So we are prepared for that and building the foundation on that, because what we don't want to do is we don't want to find out about these tactics and tools and strategies after everybody's already been doing it. Like, you have those pioneers that get shot in the back with the arrows and are lying face down in the dirt, right? And then you've got the people who are the first people to the gold and they're getting it all, right? And then you got the people who are coming in at the end going, where did everything go? And what we want to do is we want to be somewhere like, let us pioneer the path. Let us figure out how to do that. Let us get shot in the back with the arrows and lying face down. And then you come in right after us with the tactics and skills that we teach you and clean up, right? And be some of those first people to market that can do that. And that's what we try to do inside the mastermind group. And that's what we're trying to do at this event this year. A little bit different take on the challenge that I've given the speakers this year to present on is this opportunity right now in the fog. So it's foggy. There's a lot of people trying to read their crystal ball. And Andy says, hey, you want to see my crystal ball? There's a lot of cracks in it, just like yours, is what he told me. And we're trying to read this thing, right? And everybody's trying to do that. And they're trying to all kind of time the market. But the bottom line is, if we get prepared, if we understand the structure and what we need to do and the foundation, we start building that out, then we'll be prepared whenever it comes. And the stuff that Ariane is going to teach is the foundation that you need in any time, right? But it's even better as we prepare for a buyer's market and some opportunity to come, to be ready and prepared for that. So I'm excited about that. I'm really pumped up about it. I've enjoyed kind of going back and watching the previous videos of all of you guys. And I'm just, it's funny because you're in a different place when you watch these a second time. Like 2 years ago, I needed to hear some of that stuff, but now I need to hear different things. And when I went back and I listened to Andy's seller finance presentation, I was like, I was like writing down different notes. I saw it from a different angle. So any of you guys that have access to that content, previous Flip Packing Live recordings, any of the stuff that we've done and any of the training, if you go back and listen to it again, you're going to see it through a different lens. You're going to see something totally different. So, hey, before I move too far on, Terry, somebody asked about hiring. Kelly said, what would you say are the best first hire options and how do you structure their pay and incentives? So if you can give an answer to like best first hire in a very short, like 1 or 2 minutes, that would be awesome.
It's the stuff that you hate that keeps you from being taken to the next level. Simple. I mean, I'm going to blow that out a little bit more and talk about structure and pay and incentives and all that and how you grow and who to hire when you're growing. But the simplest form is you need to stay happy as a business owner and do the things that take you to the next level and farm out everything else.
Awesome. And okay, since that was so fast, how do you structure their pay and incentives? You got
Well,
a 30-second answer for that too?
Yeah, no, I don't have one that concise because every position's a little bit different, right? So you have your salespeople and, you know, there are certain metrics and ways to pay an acquisitions manager versus a dispositions rep. And it depends on how much money you're bringing into your business. I mean, and we're going to talk about all that stuff. I mean, I don't want to kind of put it out into the presentation, but it is, you know, hiring, there's an order to it and some things that you need to do and that might be standardized, but every hire is an individually unique thing. Ariane just hired a COO. I just hired a COO. We would probably not hire the same person that we did, right? If we both interviewed them, we probably would not have offered them a job because she needs certain things, I need certain things. And because we're two uniquely different human beings with different, right, passions, Ariane, and things that we've got going on in our business, very, very important that you hire the right person for you, I hire the right person for me. And figuring that part out is the challenge and the fun part.
Love it. All right. Terry, man, you can hang, you can jump off. It's up to you. I love having you here. You just tell me what you want to do. I don't know how to pronounce your name, but it looks like Navtij. I'm going to butcher that, man. You can spell it phonetically in the comments. I would love it. Or it sounds like something. But you said any Canadian content. And the answer that I have for you right now is, have we even talked about anything that couldn't be Canadian, South African, UK, anywhere, Moldova, if you want to flip houses there? Like we've talked about like primarily the foundations and structures of business right now, like the financial principles, entrepreneurial arc, hiring, training, onboarding, those kind of things. Andy talking about his journey, a lot of that stuff. All this stuff goes hand in hand.
Hey, Bill.
Yeah.
Him saying that makes me think like we all know the person in our community. There's like one, maybe there's been two, but there's one in our community who is a Canadian and is quietly crushing. Like he has probably emerged as like the top guy because Canadians, like Canadian content. What does that even mean? Canadian content, right? You take this content that's working here. I mean, business is business, right? You take this content that's working here and you go apply it there, which is what this guy's done for the last 3 years. He is destroying it. So Canadian content.
We have two monsters in the same market that are
Oh, that's right. There's another one. Yeah.
crushing it right now.
Oh,
and then we have like 4 or 5 other folks who are in the mastermind group up there in Canada. And I am extremely jealous when I see their numbers and hear about their success. So I will say that there's a lot of Canadian. In fact, I would say from Americans to Canadians at Flip Hacking Live right now, we probably have like 25% market share from Canada coming to the event of tickets sold so far.
Probably because they know these people are.
Like part of the decision actually of going virtual was the fact that we had so many Canadians that were coming and the border was not open that they could come. Like they were freaking out. They were like, the border is going to be shut down. We can't even make it. What happens then? So, I mean, we have people that are attending from Europe. We have people that are attending from South Africa, from South America. This is virtual this year. We have a guy who just bought a ticket and lives in Guam. We have people from all over that are buying tickets now that I see, and it's really cool. Actually, Australia, New Zealand, we have some people that have bought some tickets from there now too. So we're starting to see these folks. Yeah, Ariane, growing up in New Zealand, it's really cool to be able to offer this. Now it's going to be 3 a.m. when we get started, but they're going to have to set up their cycle right to be awake for it. But I attended an event just like this about a month ago, and there were people from all over the world. And it was really cool to see that I was in a breakout session, a networking session with people who were in the Netherlands or Australia or England. And it was really, really cool to see. So
the short answer is yes. Canadian content. Yes.
Yeah, we will have Canadian content. Like I would say there might be 5% of what we talk about that doesn't directly apply to you in Canada for like one piece of software that we have available to us in the US that you don't, and then you just find a workaround for that.
Yeah.
I will watch Strange Brew twice before I get on stage and make sure I have a few A's in my conversation, eh?
There you go.
Is that bad? Did I just offend every Canadian in the conversation?
Yeah, completely. They just decided not to buy their tickets, and the ones that already bought tickets just got refunds.
I love
got 4 emails. Okay. Hey, if you're on the fence, go over to fliphackinglive.com. You can check it out. Obviously we have like 4 or 5 more speakers that I'm going to bring on, but don't wait to grab your tickets. If you use the promo code Friday, it'll unlock some bonuses, and I'll talk about that towards the end. So, okay, let's see. Okay, Terry, it's time for you to go. I'm going to leave Ariane
Peace out, everybody.
In case anybody has any questions, I'm going to bring the next person in. It's my friend Becca Shea, and I hope she is ready. Let's see if she.
You gave her notice again. Don't give him notice. Just bring him in.
Okay, I don't know how she. Oh, well, now that I'm announcing it, the Oz is bringing him in now. So this is perfect.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, it makes sense.
Okay, so my friend Becca Shea, hey, I'm gonna go get my computer charger, or else this whole thing's gonna die and everything's gonna crash. But you tell us who you are, and then Mike Simmons and Andy are in charge.
Introduce yourself, Becca.
You leave them in charge. Best day ever. I'm Becca Shea. I run the membership at 7 Figure Flipping. And 5 years ago, I didn't know you guys. And I was just thinking about that, what a life-changing 5 years, or 4.5 years it's been since we all first met at a 7 Figure Flipping event. And we're going to talk on Flip Hacking Live, and I'll talk about what I'm going to get to. But I mean, just when you talk about coming to an event like this, you don't realize it, but right now, if you've never been to an event like this, you're surrounded by people who don't speak your language. you know? And I love you guys because any one of you, I can get on the phone with you and we immediately speak the same language and share our dreams. So that's not what I'm talking about at the event, but I love you.
What are you talking about at the event, Becca?
What am I talking about? So I joined Seven Figure Flipping a few years ago and did rehabs and wholesales, and I have rentals. And then I came on board with Bill last year to take over membership. And one of the things that we really focus on here is success of our members. And so I'm going to be talking about probably the most important piece of success, which is focus. So when I started working with the mastermind, literally the job description I was given was to run accountability groups and love on people. And I get to do both those things every day, but accountability groups specifically, the thing that I've seen, instead of people taking, 1 year to get that first hire in, right? You're going to learn all these cool things: hiring, cash flow, Ariane, marketing, sales, the journey, the path of the journey. And you got to think like, you're going to get so much information over these 3 days that your brain is going to explode. The content level is going to be off the charts. So then the question becomes, what do you do with it? Where do you go from there? How do you implement it? I think I wanted Bill to be here because I wanted to ask him how his first productivity session is going. But, Ariane has been a part of our groups. And when you talk about the focus piece of it, you're back. I think this year for me has been probably one of the most productive years on the heels of 4 incredible years. So when you can take all this information and synthesize it down into the right piece that you need at the right moment, because the thing that I've been saying a lot lately is you can do all the things, but you cannot do them all at once. And if you try to do them all at once, then you're going to end up 5 years down the road wondering why you've never flipped a house, but you know everything there is to know about marketing and sales and hiring and rehabbing properties. Like, you'll be a textbook ninja, but you'll never have done anything because you haven't picked what you're going to focus on.
Okay, you wanted me to be here, so I'm here. So what do you want to ask me?
Did you run back in because you heard your name?
No, I was standing right here. I just didn't want anybody to see me.
No, the power of focus this year, because I know even for you, right? You've been on a productivity focused journey, and how it kind of shortcuts your success path. We talk about what you have to learn on this journey.
So the thing that I love is that Becca running the accountability groups, which she talked about, that those have been game changing for our mastermind group. The small group accountability, structured the way that we do it, and meeting together has been a game changer for everyone. And that the productivity side, and in January, I started looking at productivity. And then on top of that, recently in the last 5 weeks, I joined our accountability group that held me, I have to show up every Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock, and they hold me accountable to all the things that I need to do. And for me, I'm actually working on my personal development. So my relationship with my spouse, my personal life, things like that, and not necessarily the business side of things. But I've been trying to get those levels up closer to a 10, right? As you start evaluating your life, you have the financial side, the spiritual side, the family, the friends, the fun. You have all that stuff. It's not just about money and business. It's about everything. And I had this kind of flat tire in areas, and I've been constantly trying to pump up that tire. But I really feel like focusing on productivity, focusing on squeezing as much out of the time that I do put in allows me to unplug more when I'm not working all the time. And then also the accountability that comes with that, every Tuesday morning, I have to show up, and it's usually Monday morning in the gym and Tuesday morning in the gym, I'm listening to my training videos to make sure that I get it all in, because I realize on Sunday night that oh crap, I have a Tuesday morning accountability group call. And without that, honestly, I would just kick it down the road. It would just kick down the road, and I would get to a 60% level, but that's where my flat tire has been hanging out. I want to get to the 100% level, and we're getting there by showing up and being accountable to others. So I love it. And at the end of this event, like Becca said in the beginning, you have so much that comes in. You've got to figure out okay, what are my goals? How do I execute on them? What do I do leaving here? And, Becca's great at helping you take all that together, put it all together and concentrate it to determine what's that thing that you're going to do. And the best part about actually two of the people on here, probably Ariane and Becca, we have some great things planned for this event specifically, what being virtual is we can do these breakout sessions and we can actually like work on this there. We can actually split up into small groups. This is stuff that we can't do at a live event. You cannot go, hey, the 4 of you that are here, go get together in this little circle over here and you guys go over there and start, like, give me 10 minutes and work on this thing. And then we're going to come back and we're going to share what you guys thought. Like, we can't do that. It would disrupt the entire room. But we can do it here. We can do it in an event and platform like this. And we can do some really cool stuff. Somebody asked about networking, said, I'd really like to make connections with people who are flipping and wholesaling in my market. Will Flip Hacking Live be good for networking? Like, Charlie, first of all, my recommendation is like jump into our free group, the 7-Figure House Flipping and Wholesaling Facebook group, and just like start networking with people right now. We are getting ready to launch, and I think I can talk about this. Maybe Vanessa is like virtually kicking me under the table, but we're getting ready to launch a Facebook group like just for Flip Hacking Live. So you will have time before Flip Hacking Live to network and figure out who's going to be there, who's close by, all that stuff, get to know each other. And then at the event, the chat group is going to be blowing up. I'm telling you right now, I went to an event for 3 days. I'm going to try to figure out how to get you guys to focus, but the chat is just blows up. There's tons of networking. There's people like slipping chat notes under the table so the teacher can't see and stuff like that. It's just going to happen. Like, I accept it. I accept the fact that you're probably going to be distracted. Actually, right now, everybody, you're on this call right now. Focus right here on me. Like, come back to me. You're probably like checking your email. You're surfing the internet. You're like watching TV. You're falling asleep. Like, come on back, goldfish. Like, we have an attention span of like 3 seconds. It's just the way it is. So we're going to find interactive, fun ways to bring you back in, to suck you in, to tell stories, to make sure that you're listening and paying attention and you don't miss that one thing that you really need. So there's networking that's going to happen. Absolutely. We're going to give you time to do breakout sessions. We're going to give you time to do those things. There's going to be breaks. When I was at the other event, people were like, it's lunchtime. And people were like, hey, does anybody want to hang out on the Zoom during lunch when we all like break out? And they just kind of like hung out and talked during lunch. You can do whatever you want. You can make connections, you can chat, you can do all that stuff. So there's a lot of cool opportunities here for that. So
hey, Bill, I want to say, I said this at the very beginning of this, those are on the beginning of the call. Flip Hacking Live has gotten better every year, no doubt. It absolutely has. But this year, it being virtual, right, it's gonna be a different environment. But like you said there, and I don't know all of the ins and all the tricks that you're doing because you're working on that like full time, but I know that because of the capability of what's going to happen here, there will be things that can happen that could not happen before. So this event will be as good or better than it was last year, even given the fact that it's going to be virtual. So I'm excited about it. I think everybody should be too. And besides the fact that they don't have to get away from their family, they don't have to travel, they don't have to do any of that stuff. I mean, it's like, it's a no-brainer in my mind, right? But I'm excited to see what you do, because we've had one event earlier this year that was just for the membership, and it was really cool stuff that Becca brought to that event. And I don't want to spoil it because some of the stuff is probably going to be in there too, but it was super, super cool. I've never done anything like that before because I've never been living through a pandemic before when I couldn't be in the same room with people, right? So I'm excited for it. It's gonna be awesome.
I will say for the introverts out there, like, I know when I go to a live event, it's like when people say network, I'm just like, I guess I'm gonna sit here with my husband and pretend we have to check, our phones. I won't like move to that circle where people are networking. So with the Zoom, I'm not sure if you've never ever been to like those forced breakout rooms, but you pretty much get like lumped into like a group of 5 people. So instead of you having to like force yourself to walk up to that circle of people who are talking, you're kind of just put in there. So there you go.
This is an introvert's heaven and an extrovert's challenge to like not blow up my chat room. Okay. Like they're just going to be chatting all the time. Like, I just want to chat, more people, more networking. So there's an opportunity to do it all. I would say I accept the fact that this is not a live event. Like I'm not making, and in fact, I'm not treating this like I'm going to make the best live event virtual. Like we're going to figure out how we can make this like the best event that you've ever attended and it be virtual. And because we may never have this opportunity again, frankly, like we have the opportunity that, and some of you may not know, the event planner that we work with is the same event planner that does Tony Robbins' events right now. And Tony Robbins, some of the biggest names in this industry, he had over 26,000 people on his virtual Unleash the Power from Within. Those are 26,000 people that bought tickets. There were over 40,000 people participating at that event. So they're learning this business. They had to pivot just like we have to pivot, but this is their entire business. And so we have the experts out there right now in the industry that are helping us put on this event. There's no doubt that like I'm learning a ton from them. We're actually buying tickets. Like 4 of us bought tickets. 3 people on this call right here bought tickets to attend another event as an attendee to hack their system and see what they were doing and what we liked and what we didn't like to make tweaks to our event. So we're actually showing up to practice what we preach. We are going in and I look at everybody else. What are they doing? How are they putting it together? What did we like? What didn't we like to put on the best event possible for you guys? So it's going to be exciting. Okay. There's a lot of questions. I'm going to come back to the questions, but let me see if there's any for Ariane. A couple people asked about virtual wholesaling. So like I live in a really expensive market. I don't want to market here. Can I invest out of state, out of my city and stuff like that? I will say he's not going to be on this call tonight, but we do have Chris Logan. He presented last year about cold calling. This year he's going to present about virtual wholesaling. So we're going to have a whole entire session about virtual wholesaling. Virtual wholesaling. The name of his presentation, him and I were working on it today, is Virtual Wholesaling, the Pandemic-Proof Formula for Making Money Anywhere in the Country from the Comfort of Your Own Home. So would you pay $297 to hear that presentation? Just that presentation. The Pandemic-Proof Formula for Making Money Anywhere in the Country from the Comfort of Your Own Home. And like I said, remember, it's going to be like the beginning to the end of that system. At the end, you should be able to do it without a ton of questions, just understanding the concept, the structure, and everything, and be able to implement that. And so that we have a lot of members in our mastermind group, the 7-Figure Altitude and 7-Figure Runway, that are wholesaling virtually. I know Andy, was doing this in a couple different cities. I still don't think he's been to New Mexico. Maybe he has now, but he set that up, and then we've kind of like imitated that and tried to figure it out. We wholesale in 5 or 6 different markets now. Actually, pretty much everybody has fled Pensacola to move to Nashville for some reason. So we pretty much don't have any people in most of these cities now, closing a lot over the phone. So we're gonna be talking about a lot of that. So Charlie, I appreciate that. He said $300 for 25 and a half hours is no joke. I've flown to 3 different real estate investing seminars and they were nowhere near 25 hours, including the networking drinks after. So like he said there, you're probably breaking it down to somewhere around $10 an hour of content that we have put together for you. So, and these are people that value their time at thousands of dollars an hour. Like Andy, what do you value your time at?
More than that, I don't know. I mean, you can't buy my time really, because I'm interested in.
You literally cannot buy his time.
I mean, I hang out who I want to hang out with, but like, time is your most precious resource, right? It's
just for reference, so like, my son is interning and he makes more than that, so we're worth more than that.
So $10 an hour, 15. No.
Andy's been on this call for an hour and 10 minutes, so I'm concerned about the bill he's going to send us. All right.
I like hanging out. You guys are my buddies.
All right, let's move on to the next person, and then when he comes on, I'm going to answer. Try to get to as many of these questions as possible. If you really want us to answer your questions, drop them in the question box. It's going to help me. So there's a question and then there's a chat. If you drop it in the question, that'll help me. It'll kind of highlight it like, hey, I have this question I want to get answered. There's a lot of chat going on. So, Ariane, do you want to take off? You want to hang out? What do you want to do?
I'll hang out.
Okay, hang out, and we will be a party of 6. Vanessa, I think you're bringing on Ryan Smith, but so Vanessa is Oz in the background, in case anybody's wondering. She's the one that puts all this together. She's amazing, and without her, none of this would be possible, period.
Virtually kicking you under the desk. I love that. And how she's doing that. That's awesome.
All right, hopefully Ryan Smith is actually here. I know it takes a little bit. There he is. The man, the myth, the legend. So, hey, if you guys don't know who Ryan Smith is, he runs a company called LeadSmith. Him and I did a podcast recently. He was like the first speaker that I announced kind of after Andy. I played Andy's previous presentation, but him and I did an interview about his topic, his presentation. And honestly, I think that podcast that we did should make, like, if anybody on this call hasn't listened to that, you need to go listen to it, because the tip that he dropped on there will make you an extra couple $100,000 this year. We've already done a $50,000 deal, a $39,000 deal, and I think we have like another $30,000 deal in the pipeline, like just from this strategy in like the last couple weeks. So I can't believe that he gave out the secret. Andy is voxing his COO right now and telling him.
No, I'm going to download the podcast right now.
All
That's
right.
what I'm doing.
Well, now you told me that you're not actively listening on a daily basis. That's upsetting me. All right, Ryan Smith, welcome, man.
Thanks, I appreciate it. How you guys doing?
I'm doing good. So I still can't pronounce this guy's name, or gal, but in the Q&A said Ryan Smith is genius. That's it.
Well, thank you.
Awesome. All right. So I don't know, introduce yourself a little bit other than the fact that you were just on the podcast and you blew it up, and it was probably one of the most amazing ones we've ever done.
Yeah, well, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, my name's Ryan Smith. I run a company called Lead Smith. We do marketing for real estate investors and flippers. We also help out with some consulting stuff and things like that. So we're really plugged into this whole environment across the U.S. We work with people, all over the place. So anyway, that's kind of the high level of what we do.
Okay, so we did a podcast recently kind of announcing your topic at Flip Hacking Live. Last year, you spoke on niche marketing. You basically gave away 6 or 7 secrets of exactly what you do. And it was so funny because we were kind of texting back and forth after the podcast that we did. And I was like, man, I can't believe you shared that nugget. And you were like, it's fine. I shared 7 of them last year. I just had to come up with new stuff right afterwards. It just challenges me to work harder to figure out some new things. And so seriously, your presentation last year probably it made a lot of people a lot more money. Like those niche type marketing things, there was a lot of things in there that a lot of people just aren't doing. Even with money, without money, it doesn't matter. Like a lot of that stuff is almost free to do, and it just takes a little bit of time. So what is the challenge that I gave you this year to talk about? What are you going to talk about?
Yeah, so what you have tasked me with talking about this year is we're in a unique period of time here where, like it or not, there's going to be a lot of opportunity out there in the coming, 6 to 9 months. So what I'm going to be discussing is what should we be concentrating on in the next 6 to 9 months as far as marketing is concerned, to not only be profitable, but turn this next 6 to 9 months into one of the biggest opportunities you've ever seen.
Did you just drop the mic?
I think so.
I just finished the description.
It's your title is your next 6 months of marketing, the decade's biggest opportunity, ... period.
Yeah.
So I'm reading the title that I think you sent Vanessa. It's
Yep.
like, I gave you this task of, hey, I want you to share, like I talked about in the beginning, when we go forward, we're looking forward in the future, not what we're currently doing, what's been working a year ago, but what are you thinking we should be starting to learn and study and understand for the future? And that future could be 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 9 months from now, a year from now. And with that, if we can figure out what that's going to be, then we can start building out that foundation now, like I was talking about maybe a half hour ago, to move forward into that opportunity and be ready for it, instead of it's almost like when the cheese moves, you're already there, right? Instead of trying to chase it around all over the place. You guys have probably read that book, Who Moved My Cheese? And it's constantly kind of moving around. And I feel like that's what we're in it, playing a ping pong match on a regular basis, just trying to go back and forth and back and forth. And what's the next new thing? And by the time people share it, it's like I said, the majority of the opportunity is already gone. So how can we get in front of that? And then everybody that's there now, okay, we're going to be those first couple people to that area where there's plenty of opportunity there for us. So heavy lift, do you think you can handle it?
Yeah, absolutely. So you hit the nail on the head earlier. Last year I got out there, I spilled all my secrets. I didn't have any secrets left, so I had to make some new ones. So I spent the last year doing that, and I'm going to tell you exactly what I plan on doing for the next 6 to 9 months. There's not a version that I tell and then a version that I do. They're one and the same. So I plan to give you my exact plan of how I plan to be uber successful during this time period. And if you're there, you'll hear it.
Okay. So let me ask you a question that everybody's probably thinking in their mind, including Andy, Mike, Becca, Ariane, myself. Why would you do that?
Just because there's so many people out there that need something that gets them those couple deals so they can get their business going. I don't know. It's just, there's no sense in hoarding information all for myself. I can only, work in so many markets and things like that. if you get the information out there, there's going to be a lot more people that can take advantage of it. It's going to have a bigger impact on those people in their lives, and everybody's going to win in the end. I promise.
Awesome. I think that's how we all feel. Like ultimately, a lot of this, like this event is the fact that we don't have, hundreds of thousands of people here taking this information that we're giving away for, I don't know, $297 right now,
Right.
is really amazing. Right. And the kind of stuff that you shared on last year to present, and like, if you just implemented one of those 6 or 7 strategies, you could have easily 6-figure or multiple 6-figure business just from that. Like
Yep.
the fact that we're using one of them, the thing that you shared on the podcast right now. And granted, our business is set up to do high volume deals. We have great buyers. We can run the price up. We can use all the other strategies. So let's just say that you did those 3 deals, and instead of making 50,000, 40,000, and 30,000, you made half of that, right? It's probably more than most people are making in a year that we did in the span of a couple weeks. And maybe you're just not exactly like as great as a negotiator and don't have the huge buyers list. So it's awesome. Like, man, I'm excited for your presentations each year more and more. And every time we talk, Ryan just shares like something. He just shares like this one thing that is like, I think I said it on the podcast. He shared something with me recently that has revolutionized what we do, and has, I don't know, is an opportunity that is amazing. And you guys.
Well, I think that's like goes back to what Andy said too. Sometimes like Ryan just shares what he does every day, and Andy's just going to share his one thing that, that he just assumes everybody else, he takes it for granted that they're doing it. And Mike's going to do the same. And Ariane, like, well, of course this is how you should run it. And you have to show up for the whole event, because you don't know when that random thought's going to get shared, because everybody's showing you completely behind the scenes.
Yeah. You mentioned something like you don't know when that's going to happen, right? So like you don't know exactly when the thing that you need is going to show up. Like there's something that you need right now. And if you knew what it was, you wouldn't have to come to an event or go do anything. You already know what to do. Like, the path, right? None of us know the path. It's like you can go do these circles, or you can just walk the straight line that everybody shows you at this event. You pull that 1 or 2 nuggets that you need to start your business, that that mindset shift. Like ultimately there's a lot of motivation and mindset that happens here, but there's a ton of tactic, strategy, and success path, right, that gets laid out. Michelle asked, what was the name of the Ryan Smith podcast? So it's the podcast is called the 7-Figure Flipping Podcast. So if you listen to that, Ryan and I did an interview, and I think it came out last Thursday.
Yeah, I think it came out on Friday of last week.
Okay. So you can go back. It's just like it's the previous episode. So I did an interview with Jesse Trujillo. He's not going to be on the call tonight. He actually said that I can't come on the call. I'm sorry. I have to go to a RIA meeting because I want to dominate my market. And there's some people there that I want to learn from. And so he's like, I'm going to a meeting and I'm going to network. And he's practicing what he preaches. He's going to come to this event. He's going to show you how he does 80 flipping deals a year in San Diego without spending any money on marketing. So and he's going to show you why that's going to be so important moving forward into a buyer's market, right? Is to really figure out how to get deals that come to you on a conveyor belt for free. So he was like, hey man, I'm sorry, but I got to go find more deals. So I can't make it. I said, no problem. He's like,
that's good for all of us though. That's good for all of us because he's learning. He's out there learning, right? He's going to share that kind of stuff. So I'm excited that he's doing it, frankly.
Absolutely. So 7-Figure Flipping Podcast, you can go listen. And I'm going to be bringing out more speakers. I've got some of the keynote speakers that are going to be coming on the podcast soon. I'm going to interview some of these folks about what they're going to be sharing. We'll go a little bit deeper. I've got some really cool announcements of some speakers I'm keeping in my back pocket for you that'll just come out on the podcast and things like that. I actually got a response from somebody today. I have one slot that's open that I was saving for this person. And she responded today and it said, I'm interested. What are our next steps? So I'm like,
oh, you're going to close her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No, I did. So funny enough, she's coming on the podcast and she's got a book coming out. And so with that book coming out, we were going to promote the book on the podcast, but the book got delayed. So I said, well, if the book's delayed, why don't we do this? Why don't we talk about your previous book? And then why don't you come speak at Flip Hacking Live and we'll talk about the book there. And she said, I'm interested. What's the next steps? And I'm like, yes.
Closer.
So
yeah,
good stuff. This is how you get folks to come on board. Like, how can I help you? Help me help you. So,
I'm actually really interested in her perspective. I know we're not leaking what it is, but I'm super interested in that.
I am
you know
too.
who I'm talking about?
Yeah,
I know who you're talking about.
So good.
Oh,
I
you
think
do?
it's Oh, I know.
You've leaked it to all of us, but we're excited.
All
Yeah,
right,
you
all right.
you didn't leak. Just for the record, everybody else is watching this. He hasn't leaked to all of us who all the 3 keynotes are, but that one I remember, and it's an interesting one, and it's one that I know about, and I think I'm super interested to hear her perspective. Like Mike said, I'm really interested in that.
All right, cool.
I
You
have
guys
to
are
jump off. I'm baking zucchini bread. So
okay. Bye, Becca.
See you, Becca. I love how honest she is.
I'm baking zucchini bread. And
You can't make that up. She's literally has to be.
She really is. Like that's what she's doing right now.
All right. Well, we got one more speaker, and you guys can hang. Ariane and Ryan, you guys can hang out. You can jump off. You can do whatever you want. But I'm gonna oh, hey guys, if you guys have any questions for Ryan or Ariane or Andy or Mike or myself, just drop them in the Q&A or drop them in the chat. So let's bring on the 7-day flip man himself. So Tyler Jensen. I hope he's here. I didn't look. So oh yeah, there he is. All right. I actually don't know what Tyler's going to be talking about. Hey,
I'm on.
Yeah, you're on.
Hey.
Live.
Everybody said, Tyler, the man, the myth, the legend. You're awesome. Hey,
Oh,
just for
sweet.
everybody that's on this call, if you want to talk to all the panelists and all the attendees, make sure you go to panelists and attendees, not just all the panelists. I see some people just like responding and chatting, and you're just talking to us. Like the people that you want to talk to, they can't see it unless you write in all attendees also. And I got a couple questions, but I'll answer them in a second. So Tyler, what's up, man? What do you, give us your Flip Hacking Live experience real quick and then share what you're going to be talking about.
Yeah, I'd love to. My Flip Hacking Live experience. So I quit my job September 1st, 2 years ago. Is that right? 3 years ago. Anyway, so I quit my job on September 1st. I went to Flip Hacking Live 6 weeks later, October 15th, I think, around that time. I was in San Diego, and I sat on the front row. I took a ton of notes, and the next year I was speaking at Flip Hacking Live. I took everything that I had learned. I took this notebook home of everything that I was going to implement, and I did it. And we did a lot of things in that year time, right? We flipped a couple houses in 7 days. We did all of that. And I shared my experience at Flip Hacking Live. And this year, we've done all of that times 2 or times 10, right? We've flipped a ton of houses in 7 days. We've got a lot more experience, and I'm excited to get back on stage at Flip Hacking Live. So it's going to be awesome.
Muted. Okay, I'm unmuted. Man, I'm pumped to hear that. Before we jump back into this, I want to get a couple questions for Ryan that have come up, and then we'll let them go back to their family, and then we'll wrap up. But Ryan, Gregory said, what single factor in your past would you say propelled you to scale up your businesses?
What single factor in my past?
Yeah. So like, what was it about you? I don't know. Maybe tell your story a little bit about like kind of growing your business, your Leadsmith business.
Sure. So I'll keep it brief. But I was, I did military intelligence in the Marine Corps. I had a very deep data background. I got out and I lived in Pensacola. I taught cybersecurity to the military once I got out of the military. And that's when I got into wholesaling. And I actually met Bill. I worked for Bill doing dispositions and then marketing for a few years inside of his company. And I always was just drawn back to the data. I really like trying to dig and find stuff on the internet. Even from, an early age, that was kind of my thing, finding stuff on the internet that other people can't find. So the problem was I didn't know how to monetize it. So when I got into wholesaling, I like that part a lot better than I like talking to sellers. So anyway, I worked for Bill for a while. Got a ton of great experience, got to do a lot of different things. And, eventually I thought, man, I want to do this data stuff all the time. So anyway, I left his company to start my own. And I also left teaching cybersecurity. So I do this full time now. And I've been doing it for, about 1.5 years, 2 years.
So what was that decision like to leave that full-time job? Because we have a lot of people that are on the call asking like, can you wholesale while on active duty? Can you start a business? We have little kids and we're W-2 employees. Like, what is that like?
Yeah, it's, yeah. So yeah, you can do it when you have a full-time job. It's not easy. I think, I don't know everybody's story intimately here, but I think everybody here has worked other jobs while they try to get things going and stuff like that. And it's tough. And, you know, with the job that I had, it paid really, really well. And it was a position where once I left it, there was no going back. There's a lot of red tape. Let's say that, a lot of red tape with that job. And once you leave that world, you don't go back in that world. So I knew that whenever I cut ties, I was done. So yeah, I mean, it's scary, but you know, if you don't want to live the life that everybody else lives and just, you know, constantly do the same thing everybody else is doing, eventually you got to take a chance.
I think Andy might be the only person on this call who didn't like leave a actual like challenge, like a position as a employee. I think Andy was like, I don't know.
You saying my job as a dock worker?
Are
you saying my job as a dock worker was not challenged as a play? I tell you, it was outside. It was hot. It was cold, and we left when the work was done. So I mean, I didn't get paid as much as Ryan got paid, but I was an employee.
Oh, I'm not saying you weren't an employee. I'm saying that it probably wasn't a difficult decision to leave that position at the time.
Well, I got fired, so I mean, let's be honest. They pushed me out the door.
Helps.
Yeah, I'll tell that story too.
But like all of us were at a point where, and most of us like started this business while we were working a full-time job. I know that I did. You know, I
did too.
I built my business flying for the Navy and on the side, and everybody pretty much like, it's not like just burn the boat and let's go start this business and have no income, no nothing. Like I remember Tyler's story in the 7-day flip that we started of his wife, when he's like ready to leave the job, he's like, you won't even notice, I promise. And she's like, no, absolutely not. You are not doing that. We need healthcare. We want all this stuff. I want your paycheck. Like, you won't even notice, I promise. No. So, and then he's like, I just did it anyway. And so it was just funny to watch, but we're all in that position. Like I remember, I got fortunate enough to the fact that I was running a business that could easily support me to the point where I could leave the military. And it was more of a family decision than it was, because it wasn't really a job that I wanted to leave necessarily. It was a job that I still do it. I still go down to, well, not right now during this pandemic, but I was still going down to fly in Pensacola and making like $25,000 a year to do it. And like we talked about valuing your time. I go down there for 60 days a year, and there's travel days. It's more like 75 days out of the year. And I mean, if you want to do the dollar per hour, it's pretty low. But the return that I get is intangible. Like you cannot put a value on the return that I get of seeing that first student fly their airplane and knowing that I'm doing something for the future of our country and the folks that are going to be serving for us. And it's cool. And you know,
I was going to say, Bill, as an American, I appreciate the product that you're helping to put out in the world, because I don't know how the military could ever lose Bill Allen, because what you do in our community is like the military lost that. I mean, most of it, right?
It's like a flea, a very insignificant thing that's happening that I'm doing right now. But I would say there's a big piece of me that I just can't hang up the bags. Anybody who's flown or been in the military, it's really hard to hang up the uniform. Like I don't know. It's a challenge. Some people are like, I can't wait to get the heck out of here. But my experience was a little bit different. So anyway, okay, Tyler, let's go back to you. Like, what are you going to talk about? Like, and maybe I will pull up your title if you gave it to us.
Yeah, no, so I'm going to talk about a lot of things. Biggest flipper. So all I do is flip it houses. So we're really good at it. We're really efficient at it. We don't do any wholesaling or anything like that. We focus on rehabbing properties. So we're going to talk about the best way to find contractors, right? I know that that's a huge issue, especially right now. We don't know what's going on. So we're going to talk about how to find contractors, how to manage your projects from start to finish. How do we do those a little bit better and make those few little tweaks that you've been talking about on this call? We're going to make a few little tweaks that can condense your timeline and will make you a lot more money. So I'm going to talk about the being efficient, biggest cost savings on your flips, all of those kinds of things that I feel like as rehabbers, we need to know with this uncertain market, right? The quicker you can turn around properties and the more efficient you can be, then the less that market is going to affect you and your business. So it's really important to, instead of having a 9-month flip, a lot could change in 9 months, right? The market can shift. There's a lot of things that can happen. So if we can condense those and make your money come back to you a lot quicker, we're going to talk about that, right? Just being efficient and being able to turn properties a lot quicker, getting good contractors. We're going to talk about anything rehabbing and flipping houses.
I love it. I love Chris, Ariane, your husband Chris said, "How much can the market change in 7 days? No problem."
Exactly, right?
It's awesome. Hey, if you're, I realize that we're going a little bit late here. I want you guys to make sure you go to fliphackinglive.com. You can grab your tickets right now. Like, don't wait. The ticket prices are going to go up on Thursday. So these are a few of the speakers. I'm going to run down a couple of the other speakers here in a second, but if you use the promo code, so right there, you go to Flip Hacking Live, you click on get your ticket. You go to add promo code, you use the term Friday, the one word Friday, and you'll get the last 4 years of Flip Hacking Live recordings that we set up. So a lot of the ones I've been talking about, Andy seller financing presentation.
You're giving the last 4 years, all of them?
Yeah. So what I did was I didn't put all of them in there because it would just be overwhelming content for the next 5 weeks. So what I did was I took the ones, we actually went through and combed through all of the presentations and said, what is still current right now that would be valuable to you? So a lot of the sales presentations from the past, the techniques that haven't changed. Andy, a lot of your presentations, some of the mindset.
So you cherry picked the last 4 years of Flip Hacking Live and you're giving them those presentations so they can watch.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, even if you're not going to come to Flip Hacking Live this year, you should just pay $200 or $300 just to do that.
Exactly.
I'm not saying you shouldn't attend. Like, you should attend.
So I don't want you to do that. You can absolutely do that, but I don't want you to do that. But go ahead, like, do it. I don't care.
People paid like $700 to come to Flip Hacking Live last year to get some of those presentations.
No, so they paid $700 for their ticket, and then they paid $700 for their plane ticket, and then they paid $2,000 for their hotel.
I know.
This event usually costs about $3,000 for you to travel with food and all that stuff for each person. So it's definitely a huge value. This is a great bonus, this incredible bonus that we're doing. So there's no reason not to go get it. And so I specifically said, I've done this before. I've bought tickets to an event. I've gotten their membership site that has like videos from the last 4 years of events. And I was like, I just want the gold. I just want the gold. Like, let me, the way that I look at it is I feel like I take in all this information, we sift it, and then we come out with the really good stuff. We concentrate everything, right? And that's the best. And these 3 days are going to be that. It's all the concentrated folks. It's all the people that are doing things in our community. We're putting them on stage. We're bringing in outside speakers. We're bringing all these people to concentrate that for 3 days. So it's all value to you. You should not miss a single presentation. Like, you can't miss a single presentation. And I want to do the same thing for these bonuses. I wanted to say, in 2016, what were the things that really impacted a lot of people? What was the presentation? 2017, 2018, 2019. We talked about time being valuable in the beginning of this. I understand that your time is incredibly valuable. So for you guys that are on the call, I don't want you to have to sift through it. You should be able to watch all of them. The titles are very clear. It's all there. So if you want the sales presentation, just go grab the sales presentation. If you want the, Mike Simmons had an awesome presentation about making more money on the back end of your deals on disposition side. Tyler's got an awesome presentation on the 7-day flip. Like Ariane and Chris's 2 years ago is the introvert's guide to success. Like, how do you create a business that way? Like, all the things that we've been talking about are there. So yeah, $297, you'll get all that stuff. You'll get a ticket to Flip Hacking Live. And then the one thing I also want to cover is VIP. So we launched VIP about a week ago. I haven't really talked about it very much, but somebody asked about, are we allowed to take video notes and stuff like that? We highly discourage, you're not allowed to screen record all the stuff, things like that. We have it set up very specifically to avoid you doing that. We don't want you to do that. Really respect the fact that we're bringing this content to you on your computer. I get it. When you're in person with us, we have people going around putting your phones down and stuff like that. I have specific contracts with a lot of these speakers that we will not share their recordings, all that stuff. We have a legal contract that I have with the keynote speakers that we're not allowed to use their content afterwards. Do not do that, please. There's really no way of me going to your house and stopping you from screen sharing, right? From recording it. So I'm asking you to be the person with integrity, just like we are, to not do that stuff. But we do have a VIP. So if you already bought your ticket, and I think the best part about VIP is that you get the recordings. And so I mentioned that the keynote speakers, they won't let us share the recordings and things like that in their contracts. Well, we negotiated into their contracts that we're allowed to use the recordings for our VIP members on our membership site. So if you do get the previous events years, you won't see Jocko on there. You won't see Walter's presentation. We're just not allowed to share that stuff. But contractually, every single speaker that I have this year is allowing us to use their content. So the VIPs will get all 3 days recordings. It's going to be between 30 and 60 days after the event. We got to chop them up. We got to We got to edit them. We got to do all that stuff, put it in a membership site. So give us some time, but you'll get the recordings after the event. So the answer is no, the event recordings do not go with the general admission ticket, but we have an all access pass. We also have lunch Q&A on Thursday and Friday with me and some of the panel, like people that are speaking. We'll do a lunch Q&A. And then on Thursday night, I have a VIP guest who is one of the keynote speakers that I'm not going to share who it is, but we are going to do a Q&A with that person with this like cocktail evening that night afterwards. And then we also have one thing that we're able to do this year that we couldn't do in previous years is these 15-minute like one-on-one coaching zone sessions. Like these 15-minute, like if you want to talk to Andy or you want to talk to Mike, like you can actually get your questions answered for 15 minutes on this like one-on-one session. So all the VIPs will have first access to sign up for those. And then front of the line Q&A privileges. We have very limited Q&A time. So a bunch of people said, like, how do we get the recordings, things like that. So to get the VIP, once you buy a ticket in your welcome email, it's going to be there. And then when we create the Facebook group and all that stuff and start sending you guys emails and things, you'll see the VIP offer and a package. So that's right now, tickets are $297. The VIP upgrade is $497. So you have to get a ticket. Like we don't have a VIP set up that you don't have a ticket, you already buy it. Go get your ticket for $297. You decide whether you want to be VIP or not. I see a lot of people also saying, hey, $297, I already bought a ticket. I didn't get these bonuses. I'm on this call right now. If you're on this call right now, you send an email to info@sevenfigureflipping.com. We will get you the bonuses. We'll cover that. Since you're on this call with us right now, we'll get you all that stuff. Like, I want you to have it. I want you to get pumped up for this event. Once you see one or two of those videos, you're going to be ready to rock and roll. Then you're going to get your box, your swag box is going to come in the mail. You're going to be checked in with somebody one-on-one. You're going to get to know some people. Then the networking is going to be going on inside the Facebook group. It's just going to be crazy. I'm excited for it. So, okay. What else do we need to talk about? Mike.
Yes.
Andy.
Is that a question for me? I thought it was a rhetorical question.
I thought
it was a real question. Okay. Mike, take it away.
Guys, what did we cover?
All right. Since you didn't ask, I'm going to tell them what I'm talking about.
Oh, here we go.
I'm just going to blurt it out. I'm forcing my way in there. All right, here you go, guys. Listen. First of all, everything that I've heard so far, like every single one of them, like I got to listen to that. I got to listen to that. But what I'm going to talk about is we know there's something going to happen with the market, right? It's going to change. It's changing for sure. We all know that. We're talking about buyers markets and all that. What does that mean, right? Like we're going to have some of the stuff that happened 10, 12 years ago is going to start happening again in our markets. And so a lot of the people like Ariane was talking about, how do you position yourself to take advantage of that? Well, I started my business in 2008, right at the beginning of everything that sort of happened in the economy and with our market and all that last time. Well, my presentation is going to be about is if I could go back and tell myself things, how to really position myself, but more than that, what would I do differently? What would I tell myself to do differently to take better advantage of the market at that time? That's what my presentation is going to be about, because we're coming to that time again. And if there's people like me that are getting ready to get started right now, and they just kind of want to know, like, how do I take advantage of what's about to happen in the market, and how do I avoid some of the mistakes that maybe other people have made? Like that's what mine's all going to be about. What I would tell past me if I could go back to take better advantage and just really position myself better. So I'm going to let my hindsight be your foresight. And if you'll listen to that, you will avoid the mistakes. You'll do the things I didn't know to do. I had no idea. I didn't have Andy in my life back then. So I didn't know how to do what I know now, right? But like the trajectory of my company kind of was mildly going up until a point where it spiked, right? All the first 6 years of my business, I was just bumping into walls trying to figure things out and didn't know what I was doing. And I had no way to take advantage of what was going on. And then 6 years later, I look back and go, if I just knew this stuff 6 years ago, that would have been awesome. I'm going to tell you those things that I wish I knew 6 years ago from that point. And now 12 years ago from this point, what do I wish I would have known? What do I wish I would have done differently? And I'll give you my hindsight on all that. Did we lose Bill? Oh, here he is.
My computer's going to die. I'm trying to get on my phone. Andy?
I don't know else we could tell him. I mean, you just dropping that gold thing about all the speakers sharing this stuff was awesome, right? And Flip Hacking Live always is awesome. And this is going to be super cool to see how it's tailored to a virtual event. So I'm super excited for that. But I mean, just getting those past years presentations, that's awesome. I didn't know you were gonna do that. That's really awesome. And I'm super excited. I don't know them all yet. You guys might not believe that, but I don't know all of the three outsiders, I guess you could say, that are coming here. I know one of them, maybe two. I know one of them, but the one that you're just kind of teasing right there, she's going to be phenomenal. And then you've got this one that you're really holding from all of us that's really going to be cool. So I think you're going to get all this awesome information from, and we're not gurus. I don't consider myself a guru. Mike, I don't know. We're not like gurus. We're just guys that are doing it right now. Like, we're doing stuff right now in the trenches. So we're all going to talk about stuff that's relevant right now for our, what's the opportunity to fog and all that stuff. But those other guys are going to be cool too. I mean, it's just going to be amazing. So.
Here's a great thing. Like, when you say guru, I think of someone who gets on stage, they're kind of slick. They don't really give you anything of any substance. It's high level, kind of like get you fired up. We're not gurus. That's the thing. We're practitioners. Like, we're doing it right now. We didn't do it 15 years ago, and we're telling you what we did back then. Like, everyone on stage is telling you what's working for them in their business right now. Like, I couldn't even imagine someone doing that when I first started. I know that's why I spent 6 years barely growing and trying to figure it out, because I didn't have anyone to tell me exactly what they were doing. Everyone's hush sometimes in your own market. So we're going to blow the doors off of that. And we're going to tell you not only what we're doing, what we're planning on doing, right? What we wish we would have done, what we wish we would have known, how to market, how to, the whole ball of wax. Tyler's going to talk about all things productivity, hiring. Like, if you're a flipper, like, everything that you have that you struggle with, everything that you feel like is holding you back, like, he's just going to tell you what he does. And there's nobody better to do it. Nobody. I don't know anybody that would, if I was going to start a flipping business right now and I needed someone to advise me, I'm going to Tyler. That's who I'm going to immediately. So it's going to be amazing. Like, I think one of the best compliments, or one of the best things I can tell you about this event is I've been to every single one of them. I've heard every single speaker talk. I know every single speaker personally. I've direct access to them. But every Flip Hacking Live, I have a notebook that's totally full, like full. I'm writing notes like crazy because there's so much being shared that, like somebody said earlier, it's common sense to that person a little bit. It's just what they do. They kind of just, this is what I do. It's not that big of a deal. But for the rest of us, we're like, oh my gosh, I'm not doing that. Like, I didn't even know that. That's awesome. So tons and tons and tons of notes every year. And that's, I've been doing this for 5 years at these events and never gets old.
And Mike Simmons cries every year. So
that's true.
It's on the bingo card. It'll be like, what time is he going to cry or whatever. Yep. So, I mean,
everyone knows.
Yeah, no one knows when it's going to happen.
If it gets slightly touching, I'm bawling my eyes out.
He's there every year.
Every year.
So you can look forward to that.
When you go this year, you'll be in all the inside jokes like this.
That's right. Everyone has no idea what that joke means.
That's true. I know. I say that like as if they all know. Like, if they've never been before, they're like, what is this? These guys are weird. It's cool, I promise.
Yeah. And like, just to touch on what Mike said earlier, I think that's my favorite part about this. Like, nobody is a guru. Like, none of us have exclusive contracts to speak at this event, but we almost kind of do. Like, kind of like to Andy's point earlier, you can't really buy our time anymore. Like, most of these people on this call. Like, there could be 10 other events who wants Andy to speak and Mike to speak and Tyler to speak and Ryan to speak, and they just can't buy their time. But we choose to speak at this event because we believe in this event and you. So this is the only place where you can hear what secrets we have.
That's absolutely true, actually. That is true.
Okay, I'm back. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
We can.
How embarrassing is that? My computer is like, so I didn't bring home the big charger, the big charger for the computer, but I have one for my iPad that just like plugs into the wall, and I was like, enough to keep me, it won't last 2 hours. So I was like, why is it breaking up and I can only hear Mike a couple of every word? It says 1%. I'm like, this call is about to drop. So sorry about that. Thank you guys for picking it up. I want to announce a couple of the other speakers. So Mike, I appreciate that because I did forget about what you're going to talk about to come back to you. So I'm glad you're like, I got to get that in there.
It's a power play. I get it.
We talked about Chris Logan with virtual wholesaling. We are going to talk about sales. We're going to talk about closing deals, like closing deals over the phone, virtual wholesaling type sales. We're going to talk about productivity. We are going to, the keynote speaker that if you were there last year, Walter Bond, he is coming back this year. I've talked about that quite a bit. I'm actually going to bring him back on the podcast, and we're going to talk about, I've given him a challenge. This is his third year attending this event. He has changed lives every single year, and I gave him the challenge to to change up his presentation and do something a little different. So we're working together on his presentation, and this guy is a world-class Hall of Fame speaker. It's unbelievable what he does. And he actually did, he gave me permission to put his keynote that he did for us at our veterans event on the podcast. So if you listen to Seven Figure Flipping podcast, go back to around like the end of May, early June. And that podcast is Walter Bond. I put on his keynote. That is him sitting in a chair doing a Zoom call for a virtual event that I put together. And it was like I was in the room with him giving a powerful keynote speech. So imagine him now on stage in our studio that we're flying him out there to give that give a presentation from stage. It's going to be amazing. I've been doing this 30 days to 500K money raising challenge. And so a lot of people have gone through it. We've had hundreds of investors, probably 300 or 400 investors that have gone through this challenge that are raising a ton of money. We have 4 or 5 people joining every single day. If you haven't checked that out, absolutely go to 500kchallenge.com and check it out. It's only $100. It's incredibly cheap. I was taking on the idea of talking about raising money and speaking on that, but we actually went out and got the person who taught me how to raise money from her book, Susan Lassiter Lyons. So Susan Lassiter Lyons is going to come speak at the event about raising money. So she is I mentioned her book a lot in the challenge. I mentioned a lot of things about what she's taught me, this concept, these ideas about raising money relationally, like relationships to raise money, know, like, and trust people. So I said, who better than to speak on that than the person who taught all of us how to do it? And so I'm really excited about that. Her coming on. I've got, let's see, what else? I've got a couple things that I'm going to keep in my back pocket, but I'm going to tell you right now, like, just those couple people, like one of these presentations will be worth $297. So you don't have your tickets yet. Go to flippackinglive.com, grab your tickets. Don't wait. The prices are going up on Thursday. I'm going to tell you that I warned you. I've been talking about on the 7 Figure Flipping podcast, the Flip Hacking Live podcast, like everything that we do, every Facebook Live, all that stuff. The other website is 500K. So the number 500kchallenge.com. Vanessa, maybe you could drop it in the chat for me if you don't mind. And you guys can go check that out. That's raising private money 30-day challenge. We've had some people that have raised $5 or $6 million that have only raised a couple $100,000. We've got people who have, structured the foundation of raising money and have never done a deal. Really exciting people in all different industries that are raising a ton of money using these concepts right now. And I take a lot of that, I give Susan Lassiter Lyons a ton of credit from everything that's in there, what I've done. I've got links to her books and stuff like that. Like she's amazing. And I've built off those concepts and just showed you over 30 days what I do and how I do it, my documents, my procedures, all that stuff, tools and strategies that you guys can use. But we'll be sharing that at Flip Hacking Live. So man, I'm pumped up for this event. There's not a lot more that we could say right now other than go get your ticket. Don't wait. You can wait till after Thursday. It's fine, but we're just going to charge you a little bit more. And you're going to go, so just go grab your ticket right now. Like, do us all a favor, save some money, have an extra night out with your spouse, with your significant other, whatever that is. Take that $100 and go invest it in the challenge too. All that stuff. So a lot of people
Get the past videos. Like, do it now to get those 4 years of videos. That's awesome. It's huge.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I think, we've never sold the videos before in the past. We've always, if you donate to the charity, we'll give you the videos at a certain level if you pay. And so we've never actually included or bundled the videos or sold them or anything like that. So you can't get these videos attended the event. You donated a bunch of money to charity. So this is the first year said, look, we're going virtual. We realized, like, I want to get you guys ready for it. I want to get you prepared for it. And so a lot of people are saying, I signed up, you convinced me, I'm looking forward to it, those kind of things. Like, obviously, like, this call wasn't about convincing you. This call was showing you the value and get you excited about it. And, I hope that nobody on this call is like, you know what, I'm still not sure. Like, did we accomplish I don't know, we've been on this for like 2 hours now, right? Did we accomplish our mission of showing you the value of this event and how it's like a drop in the bucket? So my request to you is, who do you know? Like, who can you share this event with? Who can you help? Who can you bless? Who can you show and talk about this? We're going to have this video on our YouTube channel, and share the video with somebody. If you know somebody who needs this event, who should show up, we're all about sharing. We're all about growing together. We're all about making sure that the people who need this kind of information is a part of it. The people who, like, if you know, like, and trust somebody in another market, another area, in your market, your friends, your family, whatever that is, share it with them. because I'm just so thankful that I stumbled across this podcast when I got started. And for those of you guys who don't know the story, like Andy and Justin were my mentors when I got started. I paid, a bunch of money to join the mastermind group. I listened to the podcast. I was fortunate enough to speak at the first Flip Hacking Live, every single one after that. And then I put in an opportunity to buy the company just over a year ago. So I didn't start this company. This isn't my event. I didn't create it. Like, it's funny because a lot of people put like founder and CEO next to their name, and I can't do that here, right? I can put that I'm the owner, CEO of this company, but I didn't start this mission. This mission was started long before me, and I'm just carrying the torch now. And everybody else on this call is carrying that with me. And it's so cool where I can just invite my friends to come hang out for a night and they want to stay for 2 hours and nobody wants to get off the call. Even though Ariane Lemire is sitting there by the tree of life, she should go on the Bugs Life ride and hang out and stuff. So, I really feel like it's cool that I can have my friends, my family, like the closest people to me, my mentors that are on this call that share so much with me, be a part of it. And all I have to do is say, hey, will you speak this year? And they're like, absolutely. It's not how much you're going to pay me. It's really cool to have that. And I'm thankful to everybody who's been a part of this. The Wizard of Oz behind the scenes, Vanessa Ritchie is on this call, and you haven't seen her, but she's the one who's making all the magic happen. Kyle behind the scenes, everybody that's been a part of this, Andre doing the videos, Becca being the membership coordinator for all of our members in the mastermind group. It's just an amazing family that we have, and I want you to experience and be a part of it. So please share this with somebody. If you know somebody who needs a ticket, buy them a ticket. Buy them a ticket and give it to them. Just share it with them. Let them know that the opportunity is there. And, whatever you need to do, whatever you're capable of doing, whatever you think you should do. That's my challenge to you is if you saw value here, it's like, who are the 3 or 4 other people that need to know about this? Because I would love to provide this to 1,000+ real estate investors at this event. Really cool mission that we have too. One thing I didn't mention is we do a lot of charity work, and we will have a charity represented this year. And I'm really excited about who's coming and what we're going to do for that. And so the more people that I can have there, the more, the bigger ripple effect that we can have in this charitable contribution that we do together too. So it's not just about making more money. It's about making a bigger impact in the world and in our community. So we'll talk more about that as we get closer. I might do another interview, but Operation Underground Railroad is the charity that we've supported the past couple of years. And that's the one that we're going to bring back again this year. And I've got a really cool person that's going to come and share their message. It'll be a little different than what we've done in the past. So I think that's all I got. I know we've taken more time than we planned, and I just want to thank Mike and Andy for staying on here the whole time, and for Ariane and Tyler and Ryan, thanks for hanging out with us this long. And Vanessa, you are awesome. So, any parting words? Any last things that you guys want to say?
Thank you, Bill, for putting us all together, because seriously, this is a ton of work. People that have no clue how much work it takes to do this, and it does impact lives. It changes lives. It's not the $297. It impacts lives big time.
100%. I totally agree with Andy. Can't say it better.
I would pay the money just to hang out with these 5 people. Honestly, it is so, you guys, all of you guys have just changed my life substantially, and being able to be on this video call and to be in that room at Flip Hacking Live, it was life changing. Just like Ariane talked about her first experience with Flip Hacking Live. That was the same thing for me, right? That it really was life changing. I was able to quit my job and grow a business, and now it's funny that I'm sitting here and I just got a text that we got an offer on one of our properties. I've never seen it. I couldn't tell you about the house, but I couldn't have done that without this group. And I just, man, Flip Hacking Live is life changing. So you guys are awesome.
Andy, he's trying to get me to cry. I can feel it. He's trying to make me cry.
I know. He's trying to do it.
Voice.
He's trying to do it.
Yeah,
You got to get Flip Hacking Live. You got to wait for that for him to see him cry. Sorry.
Right.
So guys, last year, Chris, my husband and I did something that we didn't think was going to be possible ever. We were away for 3 months traveling with our family in New Zealand, Hawaii, Australia. That was a dream. And then we went to Flip Hacking Live, and this all changed because of these guys, right? We weren't speakers in the first Flip Hacking Live. We were attendees, and we watched these guys teach us everything they knew, and we just followed it for the last few years. And that's why we have the freedom we have now. So I'm not sure what your story is, but I would love to find out when you come to Flip Hacking Live.
Andy's crying.
I know. I'm trying to thank you. Leave me alone. We got to end the call. See you guys.
All right, we're out of here. I can't wait to see you guys. If you're still on the fence, just shoot us an email, ask us what you need and why you haven't pulled the trigger yet. And do it before Thursday. Like we're going to bring the price up. This is not a threat. Trust me, we're going to. And I saw Matt talk about, I wish we could give hugs. We'll give some virtual hugs, virtual high fives. We're going to do some really cool stuff in the studio. So I can't wait. I'm actually really excited about this event. So share it with some people, help us out. And if I don't know, we'll see you in like 5 weeks, a little over 5 weeks, and we'll be there. So I can't wait. I got to get started on my presentation. So, and I don't know, on the podcast, I'll tell you what I'm going to talk about soon. So, all right, everybody have a great night. Thanks for hanging out with me. I will see you guys later.